couple of girls talk about this and that, get familiar with blue and the charmed ones too. Charm chats. I was gonna turn around here and say, "Are you ready?" And then it just didn't happen. Welcome to Charm Chats with Kendra
and Kat. Kendra was holding her finger over the record button for like a good 30 seconds before actually pushing it.
Oh, please, it wasn't nearly that much. It was like 15.
Oh, man.
Sometimes you just glitch out, and you just gotta wait to decide.
Oh, yeah.
Or, like, that thing where you're trying to decide if you should, like, go back to do something, or you should continue doing what you were currently doing, but you're just standing there, so it just looks like you're frozen. Mm-hmm. That happens to me a lot.
Yes.
And then, of course, I also do the, like, like the back and forth, just, like, one step kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I get it. I've edited out a few of those moments.
No, I'm just talking about in, like, regular life.
Yeah, well, you do it here, too.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of sit there and go, never mind.
Yep.
Or where I'm, like, halfway through a point and I forgot what my point was.
Yeah, that's happened a couple times. I know that, Patreon either has or will have a blooper of you just having to be rebooted. So
it happens a lot.
Yep. So there's that. All right. So the air conditioning is on because it is hot as balls outside.
Mm-hmm. And I love how you brought that sweater.
Yeah.
And you still have your Doctor Who sweater.
Yeah. Well, I wore this sweater because I'm wearing a tank top, and I didn't want to burn my arms on the drive down.
That's fair.
And the Doctor Who sweater
just
is thicker than this, and it lives here, but it's also thicker than this one, so
that's fair.
This one's working for now, so we'll see. Disclaimers? Do we have any? I don't think so. People upstairs seem to be quiet, which is nice.
For now.
For now, anyway.
I told Cynthia that this is the one where we have to edit out all the intermittent sounds. So
okay, good. So hopefully they will be quiet and not make any of those.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. So,
although I imagine at some point the dogs are going to have to go out because I don't think they've done that today. Unless they let them out earlier.
Yeah, I think they might have let them out earlier.
Then the dogs will be out for a while.
Yeah.
Because they like to hang out under the trampoline.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
This is true. They're very cute, and they like being outside a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And neither of them is like Gus in that he needs to get inside right now. Right fucking now.
Yeah, nope. They're like, all right, we'll just hang out here. Thanks. Mm-hmm. Come back to us in like 6 hours. We'll still be here.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm hoping that the sump pump won't go off.
It's been a pretty dry day today.
So it should be okay. But, I will do the best that I can with editing. So.
Well, you always do.
Yes. Yes, I do. Even when there's a mysterious clicking sound that I can't get rid of. I still apologize for episode 211.
Yeah, it wasn't rhythmic enough to make an impromptu Harry Potter song either.
No. And we didn't hear it while we were recording.
No.
And we didn't, see it on the recording, really, because it just looked like everything else. So there was no way of figuring out that it was happening until it was too late.
Yeah.
So, here's hoping that never happens again.
Yes.
So on that note, let's start the episode, shall we? We are at episode 213, Animal Pragmatism. This aired on February 10th, 2000.
And I have a beef with it immediately. Namely, just the concept. Because this is the Valentine's Day episode for Charmed. And you know what would have been really good? Is if it had been episode 214. Because guess what? 214 is Valentine's Day.
Yes, but they aired it as close to Valentine's Day as they could.
7 days later is still closer to Valentine's Day.
But it would have
February
been
10th.
After instead of before.
So?
TV. What you gonna do?
Call Ghostbusters?
Apparently. No, I don't know. Anyway, so the title is a play on the term animal magnetism. So I shall now tangent on this because I have so much to say. First, the obvious. Animal magnetism is the name given by Franz Mesmer in the 18th century to what he believed to be an invisible natural force exerted by animals, not to be confused with magnetoception, which is a sense which allows an organism to detect a magnetic field to perceive direction, altitude, or location using the Earth's magnetic field.
Such as pigeons.
Yes. Second, because I am me, I had to check out the disambiguation page, which is my favorite thing on the internet. Anything's disambiguation page is just glorious to me. So I found a couple of interesting things. Animal Magnetism is the 7th studio album by German rock band Scorpions, which was released in 1980. The band has been around since 1965, and they're still going strong. Most people will probably know them best by the song Rock You Like a Hurricane.
I know that one.
From 1984. I will put up 2 different YouTube videos for that song, the live version from 1985 and the live version from 2016, just so you can see how they're still rocking out. It's kind of awesome. Mm-hmm. But my favorite wiki rabbit hole led me to this. Animal Magnetism is an album by the Japanese noise musician Merzbow. He was born Masami Akita in 1956. He is best known for his style of harsh, confrontational noise exemplified on his 1996 release, Pulse Demon. Just love that name. Pulse Demon. Since 1980, he has released over 400 recordings. And in 2000, Extreme Records released 1,000 numbered copies of a limited edition box set known as the Mertz Box, because his stage name is Merzbow.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It consists of 50 CDs spanning Merzbow's career from 1979 to 1997. 30 discs are taken from long out-of-print releases, while 20 are composed mainly of unreleased material. The box, which was apparently made of fetish black rubber...
So, latex?
Yeah, but, like, thick. Like...
Yeah.
Yeah. Also contained 6 CD-sized round cards, 6 round stickers, a poster, a black long-sleeve t-shirt, a medallion, which was lovingly called the Mertzdallion.
Of course it was.
Yep. 2 CD-ROMs, one of which is interactive and called the Mertz-ROM.
Well, why break the trend?
Yep. And a 132-page hardcover book with over 100 pictures plus a bunch of essays and interviews, which was called the Mertz Book. He's nothing if not on brand.
Yeah, that's some impressive levels of branding.
Yep. I will, of course, link to all of this on the website. I fell down a wiki rabbit hole and was there for hours just looking into all of this. It is mind-boggling how my brain can just get sucked right on in. Yep. So, we start with the exterior shot of some people sitting outside a building, and they all appear to be reading very large books.
So you know you're at a college.
Yep. We then cut to a panning shot of some taxidermy animals, and we hear a man talking, and the shot continues panning over, and we see that we are inside a classroom. We hear a man talking, and he is assumed to be the teacher. His IMDb credit lists him as professor.
So you know you're at a college.
Yep. So I might as well tell you about him because he doesn't really get a name, and this is the only time we get to see him. But, you know, Professor is played by Richard Wharton. He started acting in 1986, and this was his 8th role. He's mostly done single episodes of TV shows and is currently filming a show called Uncorked that is supposed to air in July. So by the time this episode comes out, it should just be a few days away from airing. I know nothing about the show other than he plays a guy named Melvin. And I just thought that was funny. I don't know why. It just made me giggle. The name Melvin is just funny to me somehow. I don't know. Anyway, back to the show. So, the professor is wearing a white-collared shirt, a rust-colored tie, and a gray patterned sweater. It's like the uniform of a college professor.
Yeah.
You just be like, okay, yep, you're...
So you know you're at a college.
Indeed. Indeed. He is talking about lions mating in the Ngorongoro crater of Tanzania.
So you know you're at a college. It's going to be the meme for this episode, clearly.
Apparently. So, in case anyone's wondering, the Ngorongoro crater...
I think it's Goro. Ngoro.
Ngorongoro?
Ngoro.
I don't remember. I honestly don't remember how he said it. whatever. It is the world's largest inactive, intact, and unfilled volcanic caldera. It is actually in that country.
Good. They got something right for once.
Yes. So we follow him as he walks through the room, and we land on Phoebe, who is sitting at one of the desk table things. She is wearing a top that is black with slits on the arms, where it's like, it looks like it's a long sleeve top, but there's like slits so you can see her skin.
Yeah.
It was actually really cute. And tan bottoms. I can't tell if it's pants or a skirt at this time, and I don't think we ever find out.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Phoebe turns her head, and we see a guy is staring at her. She kind of smiles at him, and he is wearing an orange t-shirt under a yellow overshirt. It was very eye-catching, but not in a good way.
Oh.
Like,
yeah.
I just looked at this and went, why is she attracted to him? What is happening here?
Because the professor's talking about mating rituals.
Yeah.
And we have to parallel that immediately and in the most obvious manner.
Oh, totally. Absolutely. So, yeah. So the professor is now talking about mating rituals. And we see Phoebe look at the guy again and, like, brushes her hair back. And then we're shown 3 girls behind Phoebe. One of them has long curly red hair. One of them has short black hair. And the third one has light brown hair pulled back into a ponytail. I'm not going to bother with their outfits at this point because I just didn't really remember much. I think I might mention them later when we see them again. But at this point, I couldn't be bothered to write it down.
Anyway, they're doing the typical Cabal thing of whispering between themselves, and they're like passing a book around and just giggling.
Yep. And then Phoebe turns around and, like, questions them. They're apparently her study group. And she's like, why is my study group having fun without me?
And naturally, Redhead's like, well, you looked busy.
Yeah.
So they all giggle.
Yeah. Because she was busy flirting, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
The professor then signals the end of class, and everyone starts packing up. And then Phoebe turns around and looks at the cover of the book that the redhead is holding. The cover is red, and it has the word bewitched in large print written in a circle. So, immediately...
This clues Phoebe into the fact that it could possibly be Book of Love Spells, so she asks...
Is that a Book of Love Spells?
Yeah,
like she literally asks that. The redhead hands it to her, saying that they found it in the Valentine's display at the campus bookstore. So... this is where we are finally knowing that it is the Valentine's Day episode, and I literally put in my notes to insert Kendra rant here.
I couldn't even hold it that long.
No, you couldn't.
No, I couldn't.
No, which I think is very funny and very you.
Yes, very me.
Yeah.
Very me. Well, anyway, Redhead hands the book over to Phoebe.
Yep. The one with black hair thinks that it's stupid, and the one with brown hair thinks that it's not, and the redhead thinks that it'll just give them some laughs because they're all dateless for Valentine's.
Phoebe kind of laughs to herself while she's reading the book, and the brown-haired girl is like, well, why are you laughing? Phoebe immediately goes into, like, expert spellster mode.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, this book has everything in the wrong order. Here's how you would read this in the proper way. And she kind of rewrites the spell in the book so that it makes fucking sense.
Yep. And then they stare at her, shocked, because, like, they were not expecting that. And she's like, she covers by saying that she's doing a paper on the growing popularity of witchcraft.
Yeah.
And they buy it for whatever reason. Whatever Allah
Yeah, doesn't she say
reason.
something... Doesn't she say something about, like, intent? Like, stating intent?
Yeah, she tells them why it's wrong, and
yeah,
and that, you know, that you wouldn't read it this way. You do this first, and then that, and whatever. So, yeah. So, they buy her load of crap, and then she hands them a flyer for P3, and invites them to whatever party Piper is going to be throwing there, saying, no dates required, you know. And they all seem interested in it, and then they say their goodbyes. And Phoebe stands up and sees that the guy that she was, you know, staring at and flirting with is talking to the professor. And he starts to walk toward her because, you know, that's where the door is to leave, is behind her. And she kind of stops him to give him a flyer to the party at P3.
Yeah, and there's a bit of a flirty moment where she's like, you should go to this. And he's like, well, why? And she goes, because I'll be there.
Yeah, and then she just kind of walks away as quickly as possible. And we just see him, like, stare at the flyer for a second. And then we dissolve into an exterior night shot of a building. And a couple of people are walking up the stairs toward it. And then we jump into a room. And we are shown a pig wearing a collar, a rabbit, which was apparently also wearing a collar, but I didn't see that until later. And a snake.
Not wearing a collar.
Not wearing a collar, because snake.
Well, I mean, sometimes you can put hats on them. But generally, collars
Not
don't
so
work so
much.
well.
Yeah.
Sweaters are really cute on snakes.
Yes. Little
little tiny knit tubes.
Yeah.
For your little tube.
Yep. So
for your little danger noodle.
Yes, your little danger noodle. I don't know why, but I love danger noodle as a snake. That's just the best.
Either danger noodle or Sneck.
Yes. But Sneck isn't as funny as danger noodle.
Well, Sneck is more like doggo.
Yeah. And danger noodle is more like pupper.
No. It's more like trash panda.
No, because trash panda is derogatory. Just ask Rocket.
Well, no. It's like saying that a French horn is a drunk trumpet. Like,
well,
it's putting
it's
terms
not
of,
wrong.
It's putting terms of one thing into the terms of another. Like, Sneck is a name, but danger noodle is supposed to convey a specific idea about this thing. Like, oh, it's a noodle because it's long and thin, but it's a danger noodle because it can bite you.
I guess so. It's like that one.
Whereas a trash panda is because well, it's got like the thing around the eyes like a panda, but it lives in the trash.
Yeah, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that one video where everything was written as other things, and my absolute favorite was the chopped up garlic was vampire kryptonite.
Yeah. Those are recipe videos.
Yeah, I love that one. It's one of my favorites. Anyway, so these three animals are on the floor inside a drawn pentacle on the ground, and for
doing a very good job of not moving off of their spots.
Well, I know that the rabbit had little pieces of carrot that it was eating to keep it in its spot. I know that. I noticed that.
I'm just impressed by the fact that, they were all in the circle, not in cages, and not really wanting to go anywhere. So they were very well-trained animals, or at least very lazy.
Yes.
The pig was probably well-trained. The rabbit had food. They might have just fed the snake, and so it was just like, I'm going to digest here.
Yeah, maybe.
But, also, the rabbit wasn't running away from either of them.
True. So, for anyone who needs a refresher, since it's been a while since we've seen one of these, the difference between a pentacle and a pentagram is that a pentagram is a 5-sided star with the lines in the middle, and a pentacle is a pentagram inside a circle. Mm-hmm. It's the easiest explanation.
Yes.
For anyone who doesn't remember that, because it's been quite a few episodes since we've seen one of these. I think we haven't seen one of these at all this season yet.
The last one I can think of would probably be back in 113.
Yeah, it's been quite a while.
Yeah.
So we pan up from the pentacle on the ground to see the same 3 girls from class. So since they're standing now, I guess I can tell you what they're wearing.
Sure.
So, the black-haired girl is wearing a denim dress under a purple sweater. The redhead is wearing a gray patterned skirt, striped shirt in shades of green, and a light blue overshirt. And the brown-haired girl is wearing gray pants and a pink top. It's really all you need to know.
Yeah.
Very, standard aughts.
Yes.
Outfits.
Standard college-y outfits. Anyway, the black-haired girl is kind of having a little freak out, and she asks if they can turn the lights back on, but the other two are like, stop being such a fucking party pooper.
Yep.
And they kind of shoot her glares.
Yeah. So they join hands because the spell that they're reading tells them to, and the black-haired girl wants to make sure that they're not going to hurt the animals, because apparently the pig is borrowed from her friend Spencer. So that explains the color.
Okay.
It is a pet pig.
Sure.
Yeah. The brown-haired girl reminds her that it's supposed to be a funny joke spell, and calls her Tessa. So now that the black-haired girl has a name, I shall tell you about her. The actress playing Tessa is Leela Lee. She started acting in 1996. She's still going strong. She's mostly done single episodes of shows, but she was in the entire season of the Tremors TV show that aired back in 2003. It was based off the movies, didn't get more than a season, but she was in that entire season. So there you go. She is most known for her comic strip and books that go by the title Angry Little Girls, based on her character, which was her first character, called Angry Little Asian Girl, which she created in her sophomore year of college. Did I not mention that she was Asian? Because she's Asian. I'll link to the comic as well as her IMDb and wiki, because it's truly entertaining, the comic is. It's a little not safe for work, though, due to the content, but it's cute. Mm-hmm. It's very fun. Anyway, so we learned that Tessa picked the pig because they are the most intelligent species. And then the brown hair girl jokes that they now know why Andrea picked the rabbit.
Andrea, now we know, being the redhead.
Yeah. So
and a bit of an info, apparently.
Well, because, rabbits like to do the sexy times, I guess. So let's learn a little bit about this actress. Her name is Kelly McNair. She started acting in 1999. This was her third gig, and she hasn't done anything since 2014. She's mostly done single episodes of shows. Her longest gig was a 6-episode web series called Divine White's Introduction to Hollywood back in 2011. She doesn't even have a wiki page. So, yeah. Anyway, so Andrea says that the rabbit scratches.
And the brown-haired girl, who still doesn't have a name, jokes about scratching being kinky, and that's why she picked the snake.
Yeah. So, even though
Which are two completely separate statements, but okay.
Well, she was joking about the rabbit scratching, saying, you know, oh, kinky, and then she picked the snake because it doesn't have anything to scratch her with.
Oh, okay.
It makes logical sense.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, even though brown hair girl doesn't have a name, I'll tell you about the actress because there's not much to tell. Her name is Katie Johnson. She has no picture on IMDb. She started acting in 1989 and hasn't done anything since 2000. This was one of her last gigs. I believe this was the second to last. I think she had one after this.
Penultimate.
Yes.
With a pentagram.
Pentacle.
Pentacle.
Yes. The most interesting thing about her is that she was on 3 different episodes of Boy Meets World and played a different character each time. She was in Season 1, Episode 4, Season 2, Episode 15, and Season 4, Episode 17.
Sure.
So there you go. She is listed as Brooke on IMDb, so we shall call her that because calling her brown-haired girl was starting to get tiring.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Andrea gets them all to say the spell from the book, which reads like this. From strike of 12, count 24. That's how long the spell is for. Turn these gifts into a mate, and then my lonely heart abate.
Yeah.
And they're clearly disappointed that it didn't work, even though it was supposed to be a joke, and that should be the end of it. But then, when Tessa says she wants to leave, Andrea remembers that Phoebe was like, oh yeah, this spell is totally written wrong.
Yeah.
And Brooke's like, maybe we should call her. But then Andrea's like, well, wait a second, guys. I recorded the lecture because that's something responsible collegiates do, and they totally listen back to them every time. Am I right?
Totally. So she praises the power of technology. She pulls out a tape recorder, and then she presses play, and we hear Phoebe's voice talking about the party at P3.
Mm-hmm. So she rewinds the tape, which is the most realistic thing in this entire episode. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm surprised they put that in because it's so mundane and actually real life.
Yeah. And it made little like rewind sounds. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, and when she plays it again, here's the less realistic bit. She lands exactly where Phoebe starts saying the spell.
Yes. So Phoebe's version of the spell goes, from strike of 12, count 24. That's how long the spell is for.
Which she didn't change.
Right?
Which is fine.
If to abate my lonely heart, enchant these gifts I thee impart. That's the bit that changed.
Mm-hmm. She's very good with the impromptu rhyming.
Yes. Well, she did have a moment to read it, to like look it over and figure it out.
I know, but
she
still,
basically
that's still pretty good for being like, hey, this is written wrong. How can I rewrite this?
Yeah. It didn't take her very long to figure out how to fix it. So, as we hear her voice reading this spell the proper way, we pan around the animals, and this is when we see that the rabbit also has a collar on. But we don't know whose rabbit this is. We never find out. Never explained.
Yeah. And as Phoebe is reading the spell through the tape recorder, there's suddenly a bright light, smoke fills the room, and all of the girls scream as the animals turn into 3 very naked dudes.
Yeah.
Only shot from the waist up, of course.
Yes. Well, they started out like Terminator style, where they were like crouched down on the ground. And then they stand up, and the boys are kind of looking confused, and we end on a shot of Brooke and Andrea being impressed.
And Tessa looking super scared.
Super scared, and we go to the opening credits. So, the post-credit song on the DVD is Finally Taking Over Me by Janice Robinson. She's an American vocalist. She was born in 1967, and she was in an Italian Eurodance group called Livin' Joy.
Huh.
Yeah, for a few years before she went solo. Her wiki still lists her as being active, but she hasn't done much lately that I can find. And she's listed in the actor portion of the IMDb for this episode and has a special musical guest credit. So, She'll show up at the end of P3, I'm sure.
Probably.
Yeah. Netflix, however, had a different song, and once again, Soundhound and Shazam have failed me on said song.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah. So, post-credits, we get a shot of cars driving across the Golden Gate Bridge that transitions into traffic on the bridge, but the shot cuts away before the truck with the logs on it goes by. So we don't get to see that lovely little truck of logs.
Nah, that's just giving me bad flashbacks to Driver's Ed. They made us watch Final Destination too.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Well, not all of it. Just the beginning.
Just the driving bit?
Just the highway pile-up.
Yeah, no.
No, that's not something you show to 15-year-olds.
You know.
Who are about to learn how to drive. That's not a good idea.
No, that's trauma-inducing. Don't do that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Don't do that shit at all. Anyway, we then get some boats under the bridge, then birds flying past the Triangle Building, then a panning shot that shows some other buildings and the Oakland Bay Bridge, then a shot of a boat in the water that pans over to show the buildings in the background with another shot of the Triangle Building, then the overhead spinning shot of the Triangle Building, and then a building shot with the Triangle Building yet again. This entire thing has been a love letter to the Triangle Building.
Dear Transamerica Pyramid, do you know how much I love you?
It is the Valentine's Day after all. Valentine's Day episode.
True.
Yep. So we get one final shot of the Oakland Bay Bridge in the background of some buildings before we end on an exterior shot of the manor. Piper is in the kitchen putting some dishes into the sink. She's got on tan pants and a dark gray hoodie that has like pattern trim over a white shirt.
I'm sorry.
What?
Putting some dishes into the skin.
Wow.
I was waiting for you to see that.
Nope.
That's why I was sitting here with this shit-eating grin on my face.
I did not. Wow.
You just completely went over it.
I did. Sometimes my typos just... I don't even notice
puts the dishes on its skin.
Sometimes my typos are fucking creepy. Okay. Alrighty then.
Oh.
Okay, so...
Anyway, Piper turns around from the skin, I'm sorry, I mean the sink, and asks, what's wrong with this picture? We pan over to see Prue walking in, looking like she probably just woke up because she's in pajama pants.
Yeah, pink pajama pants and a blue cropped tank top. No bra.
Nipples on full alert.
Yeah, nipples on display. I really want, like, if we ever do get merchandise, I have figured out the few things that we have. We have a la convenience.
Yes.
Because that's, you know...
As you do.
Yeah, as you do.
We haven't done that a lot, though, lately.
No, but that one would probably be as well as you do. And then no bra, nipples on display. That has just got to be a shirt. Just because.
Yeah.
With the possibility of two little stars where nipples might be.
No. Two little tricatras.
Yes, there you go. Yes.
No, my joke with regard to nipples, especially in choir, is because when you've got a folder, you're supposed to hold it up at nipple height, and I just go, well, which one?
Yes.
Ladies, or people with large boobs, will understand this dilemma.
Yes.
Very well.
People in general might understand this dilemma, that nipples are not...
No.
They're not symmetrical.
Boobs is lopsided.
Yeah. Boobs are not symmetrical.
No.
My right one's bigger than my left one.
Usually I think it's the other way around. I definitely know my left is bigger.
Well, mine is encased at the moment, so I can't really tell. Anyway.
It's not an episode of Charm Chats without talking about boobs.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
It really isn't. Anyway, so Prue wanders over to the counter where an empty red cup that's supposed to be full of coffee is waiting for her. And while Piper is amazed that Prue has apparently slept in,
Piper asks how Prue's feeling being footloose and office free.
Yeah, it's a cute way of saying unemployed.
Yeah, and Prue's like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm able to do absolutely nothing today.
Yeah.
And Piper's like, that's a little hard.
Yeah, because apparently absolutely doing nothing means you have to absolutely do nothing. No eating, no drinking, no coughing, no sleeping. Just doing nothing.
No breathing.
Sitting and doing nothing is really hard to do.
Yeah, it might actually be impossible.
Yes.
Because even when you die, like, stuff is still going on with your body.
Yeah.
Like, you go into rigor mortis, then you go out of rigor mortis, and then you start decomposing. Like, you're never not doing anything.
Yep.
you're always doing something. Even if it's not, like, intentional.
Yep. And even if you are sitting there literally doing nothing, you're sitting there, you could be...
Even if you have used the passive voice.
Yes. Even if you're just sitting there staring into space, you're still breathing. You're still blinking.
You're still digesting, probably.
Yeah. So
metabolic processes are continuing.
Yeah. So you're always doing something. There is literally no way to do nothing until you cease to exist. And even then, who knows?
Who knows?
Anyway, on that downer, let's bring it back up. So Piper makes it known that she has got a lot of stuff going on in her head, to which Prue is basically oblivious. She didn't even know that the next day was Valentine's Day, and she jokes that she's doing nothing already. Because she had forgotten about the days, apparently. That's the thing. Piper is lamenting the fact that Dan wants to have V-Day dinner. I don't know why it made me laugh that she called it V-Day dinner.
I mean, we know which V she means, but do we?
Yeah. I think it was just funny because she didn't just be like, he wants to have dinner. It was, he wants to have V-Day dinner. Like, it was just...
Well, yeah.
The
dinner on Valentine's Day is a specific kind of dinner.
Well, yeah.
For couples, anyway.
Yes. Anyway, so Prue realizes that because Leo is mortal now, Piper is conflicted.
And she tells Piper in a very sweet, big sistery way that she'll stand behind whatever decision she makes.
Yep. No matter who she chooses.
Uh-huh.
And then, because we can't stay in one place too long, we cut back to the college. We get an exterior shot of the dorm that the study group girls are in.
So you know you're in a college.
And we are greeted with a scene full of stereotypes.
Like, bad stereotypes, too. The pig dude is hungry and running around the dorm being like, where's more food?
Yep.
Rabbit guy walks out of Andrea's bedroom and you see her on the bed looking very sexed up.
Yep.
And snake guy, I don't know how this is a snake stereotype, but let's go with it because whatever. He's like taking charge.
Yeah, he's basically like, okay, I'm the one who's gonna take charge of this situation and be like, this is what we're doing and this is when we're doing it and whatever. I'm not sure exactly how that's a snake stereotype, but you know,
I think they think because snakes are not like herbivores. I mean, pigs are omnivores, but they're pigs. Like, pigs aren't known to be aggressive. But people are like, oh, snakes, dangerous. You know, danger noodle. So they've got venom and shit, and they've got sharp teeth. So they must be aggressive or something. And really, they're not.
Yeah, most snakes aren't.
Yeah.
Even the venomous ones.
No, snakes... Aren't. Well, I mean, it takes so much energy for them to digest shit. Like... I remember there was that one video of the dude making a python, like, puke up its meal. And everyone's like, that's extremely stressful for that snake, dude. Why would you fucking do that?
Yeah.
Like, nah.
Anyway,
but mostly the snakes, like, especially, like, the ball pythons, they're just cute. They got the little cute mouths. And they like to ball up at scary things. I remember there was one person with a Tumblr post about how her ball python was afraid of a stapler.
Oh.
They're called ball pythons because they ball up when they're scared.
Yeah.
And so, like, she shows photos of this python. They're not very big either. They're like about the size of a corn snake. Or no, they're bigger than that. But like they're not huge. And she shows photos of like the snake just like sitting on the table, and then she sets the stapler down, and then suddenly it's in a ball. And then it got a new stapler, and the snake just kind of, like, climbs over the stapler and is just, like, cuddling it. Just like, aw.
That's adorable.
Snakes can be adorable.
So, since these lovely people won't have real names, I might as well just tell you about these actors now. Snake is...
Who is probably the most recognizable one.
Yeah. Is played by Christopher Wheel. W-I-E-H-L.
Yes.
Wheel.
Or Veal.
No.
I know.
He was born in 1970. He started acting in 1991. He was on a bunch of single episodes of shows in the 90s, including Buffy and Boy Meets World, and he's still going strong. He's had a few notable roles on shows like Jericho and Switched at Birth.
The episode of Buffy, in case anyone was wondering, was how to kill a guy on the first date or something?
I don't know. Complete honesty.
He played a dude who was obsessed with Emily Dickinson. I think it was Emily Dickens. Yeah, it was Emily Dickens. It sure as hell wasn't Sylvia Plath.
Okay.
Well, no, and then he goes on a date with Buffy, and there's, like, the whole thing with the weirdo vampire dude at the mortuary who gets shoved into an incinerator. Yeah, okay. And then he tries to go on a second date with Buffy because of all of the action. She's like, that's not...
Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
That's not what this should be about. I'm sorry, I can't date you. And Cordelia's, like, super fucking jealous.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the only lunchroom scenes we get in the entire show. We get, like, 5 of them ever.
Been a while since I watched Buffy. It's been a few years.
Yeah.
Last time I did it was with Salad Dressing Girl.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Anyway, Rabbit is played by Tim Griffin. He was born in Chicago in 1969, and his first acting gig was on an ABC after-school special in 1989. He was also in a bunch of single episodes of shows in the 90s, including Parker Lewis Can't Lose and Dead at 21, which we all know how much I love, and has had memorable roles on Grey's Anatomy, where he played one of George's brothers in season 1, I think. Possibly season 1, season 2? I don't know. Early season. He was on Covert Affairs, and he was on Wayward Pines.
He's been in a lot.
Yes. Pig is played by Steve Monroe.
He's probably the second most recognizable out of all of these.
Yes. He was born in 1972, and he got his start in acting back in 1994. All 3 of these actors have been on the TV show Jag, but Steve is the only one to have been on it 3 times, playing 3 different characters. He was
just like Brooke.
Yeah. He was in season 2, episode 11, season 5, episode 22, and season 8, episode 13. And I just thought that was very funny. That it was like, 2 characters in this show have been on another show 3 times, playing 3 separate characters on that show. It's interesting how things happen that way, you know?
Yeah.
So, he's still going strong with acting, having most recently had an 11-episode run on a show called Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Never seen it, but...
It's pretty good.
Yeah?
I haven't really watched a whole lot, but it's musical. Like, there are musical numbers.
Interesting.
And there's an entire musical number about a dude explaining that he's bi.
Alrighty.
And it's super cheesy, too.
Alrighty then.
But yeah, Rachel Bloom is the main writer of most of the music, I believe, and she's the main character as well.
Okay.
And there's, like, the Sexy Getting Ready song, which just goes into, like, all of the shit that a lot of women do when they're getting ready for a date. Like, there's Spanx, there's waxing.
No, none of that.
Well, yes, but it's called the Sexy Getting Ready song. And then there's a dude who's, like, supposed to do a rap interlude who's just looking at this, and he's like, wait, you guys really all do this? And she's just, like, standing on a toilet going, like, yeah! And he's like, I gotta go apologize to a bunch of people right now. And he just leaves.
That's great.
I know. There's one about heavy boobs that I think you'll like. I'll have to link you
I
that
think
one.
I might have actually seen that one.
Yeah, that's from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Okay, yes, I think I've seen that one.
Kaylin watches Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Air conditioner's back.
Yes, it is.
I might have to check that one out.
And
just
she
because.
was like, yeah, normally I skip the musical bits, but, you know, sometimes they're really fun. She's like, oh, we agree on something. But yeah.
Well then.
It's a fun show.
Yeah. So, back to this show.
Mm-hmm.
Tessa is trying to calm Pig down, and we finally learn that the brown-haired girl's name is Brooke. So, you know, I could have waited to tell you about her, but... who cares? So, apparently Brooke has gone to get food. Pig and Rabbit seem to be okay with waiting for the food, but Snake is getting restless and wants to go explore.
They all try to leave, and Tessa kind of calls after them, but doesn't really try and stop them
Yeah,
from
she doesn't
going.
actively do anything other than, like, wait! Like,
So they all walk into a crowded hallway, completely naked.
Yeah. A girl walking by seems to like what she sees, and they seem completely oblivious.
Yeah.
It was very funny. It was an extra that just kind of did this, like, look up and down kind of thing. It was like, ooh!
Mm-hmm.
It was really funny. So, Snake and Rabbit walk down the hall, and Pig is doing this, like, weird jumping walk thing behind them. I didn't understand it. It really didn't make any sense. Like, he was trying to be, like, adorable, I guess? I don't know. It was weird. It was very weird. So,
Kind of a trot.
yeah, it was a little bit of a trot, but, like, in a weird way. It was, like, this, like, weird, like, skipping, jumping, walking thing.
Yes, that's generally what a trot is.
Yeah. Anyway.
Left.
Always left.
Well, I can't always be right.
No.
Much as I would love to.
Anyway.
Imagine if that were your superpower, to always be right.
I'd go
wonder
into
if
politics.
You could change reality.
If my superpower was that I could always be right, I'd go into politics. Anyway, so the guy that Phoebe was flirting with in class, who we don't have a name for yet, comes walking around the corner. He's holding a basket full of clothes and is wearing a Hawaiian shirt over a thermal white shirt.
Because apparently this dorm is co-ed.
Yeah, apparently so. And it's apparently cold. Why else would you be wearing a thermal shirt? Like, I understand it's February, but it's February in fucking California. So, shouldn't be that goddamn cold. But, whatever. He stops in front of our naked boys. And Snake is like, is there a problem? And he then informs them that they're naked. Taking this information in, Snake tells Rabbit to remedy the situation.
So, Rabbit pushes this dude against the wall and just grabs the basket of laundry.
Yep. And while this is happening, we have a lovely continuity error. It's been a while since we've had, like, a blatant continuity error. Snake is obviously wearing white boxers, even though they're all supposed to be naked. Like, blatantly wearing white boxers.
Well, this is why they only are supposed to shoot them from the waist up.
Yes. The camera was just a little bit too low. And you saw that he was wearing white boxers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Rabbit then pushes the dude to the ground, somehow scratching his face in the process. And, like, there's some bystanders in the background that look around confused, like. And then our animal guys walk away, and we cut over to an exterior day shot of P3. The lights are out, the doors are closed, because it's daytime, and the now appearing sign is back on the wall.
The now appearing sign is now appearing.
Yes.
Or is now apparent.
Indeed. Inside, Piper is carrying a large heart.
Like,
it is, like, huge.
It's
is
like
bigger than her.
3 feet across.
Yeah, it's bigger than her. It's made out of flowers. She brings it over to the bar. She's got on black pants and a dark gray shirt with tan lines on the shoulders. It was kind of cute.
And there's a little bunch of wildflowers lying on the bar that she notices, and she just kind of wonders aloud who they're for. So Leo pops up from behind the bar wearing a white t-shirt, and he's like, oh, they're for you.
Yeah, this is the first time that I think we've seen Leo, like, just in a white t-shirt.
I don't think so.
It's rare.
No.
It's rare.
No. First season, the Santa joke.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That is true.
I love that I remember that.
That is true. I did forget about that.
My Santa, how you've changed.
Yes.
He was definitely wearing just a white t-shirt for that.
Yes, I do
and
vaguely
they're all
remember that.
staring at his ass.
Yeah. He's got a good butt.
Mm-hmm.
He does. Anyway, digressions aside.
Piper tells Leo that the flowers are beautiful, and he kind of just replies dejectedly, well, without ID, a car, or money, I couldn't do much.
Yeah. She thanks him, and then is like, I have something for you, too. It's not as romantic, but here you go, and hands him his first paycheck in cash. He jokes that after everything, he's still working for the Charmed Ones, which was kind of funny.
Yeah, they smile back and forth, and then she asks how he's coping.
Yeah. And he says that he's making it up as he goes along, and then asks if his being there is awkward. And she kind of brushes that off, and then he ends the conversation by picking up a tray of glasses and taking them to the storeroom. And Piper, like, glances at the flowers from Leo, just as Dan comes down the stairs carrying a big bunch of pink roses. He's wearing black pants and a red button-down shirt because Valentine's.
Mm-hmm. And he walks over to Piper, who's like, I didn't think I was going to see you until dinner. I thought we were going to wait.
Yep.
And he puts the flowers on the bar right on top of the wildflowers from Leo.
Yeah. And he's like,
metaphor.
Yeah. And he's like, you're right. And then he picks them up and makes like he's going to leave. And she's like, don't you dare, you know. And he hands her the flowers and she says that they're beautiful. And she thanks him and they hug. And then Leo walks out of the storeroom. And Dan sees him and he sees Dan. And then while still in the hug, Dan's like, Piper, is there something you want to tell me?
And she said, she kind of like goes, no.
Yeah.
And then Leo walks up. So he and Dan say hi, but they just in that dude way of saying like
their
name.
names. Yeah,
like Dan, Leo.
Yeah. It was kind of funny because you're just like, I hate you.
Yeah.
But I can't say that I hate you. Why are you here in my life right now?
Yeah.
That kind of
and
like
there's
thing.
a tense, awkward moment before Leo walks in between them
Yep.
and picks up the huge heart made of flowers and walks away with it.
Yep.
Dan remarks about how Leo being there was never mentioned to him. Pipe was like, well, I meant to, but it's been busy. He's just kind of helping out with whatever needs doing.
Yeah. She tells Dan that it's not a big deal, and then he reminds her that she called out Leo's name while she was sick instead of his name, and that she seems to act differently when Leo is around. Then asks her, how do you want me to handle that? And she tells him that all she can do is tell him how she feels right now, which is that she's actually looking forward to a Valentine's Day dinner, and he's the reason. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He kisses her on the cheek, and he hugs her, and then we see Leo on a ladder, having hung up the rose heart, watching them hug and looking sad. Yeah. Then we cut over to an exterior shot of the manor, and Prue is sitting on the couch in the living room. She's got on jean shorts, a pink tank top, and white seal slippers.
Which is fucking adorable.
I love those slippers so much. I wanted them.
Yeah, I kind of need new slippers because
You do. Your slippers are falling apart.
I know.
I'm not even wearing mine right now.
Oh,
They're in my bag. I just didn't put them on.
yeah.
It's a thing.
That's the second week you've done that.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
I absolutely wanted a pair of those white seal slippers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love novelty slippers so much.
You're talking to a girl wearing Captain America slippers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love novelty slippers. But, like,
I believe I had a pair of ladybug slippers as well. And I think there were other ones.
I want a pair of narwhal slippers.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. There's actually a pair on, I don't know if it's ThinkGeek or if it's just on Amazon, that is s'mores. And they heat up.
What?
Yes. It's so cool.
Oh, no.
I want them so bad.
That could potentially be a bad idea.
Yes, I want them so bad. Anyway.
But you could have little toasty toes.
Yeah, it's adorable. So, Prue's on the phone. She's trying to find someone to talk to who isn't working.
And she's having zero luck. She's kind of just, like, curled up in the one little, like, floral chair in their, like, sitting room.
Yeah.
So she hangs up after determining that, no, everyone's at work because you're unemployed.
Yeah.
And all of your friends aren't.
Yeah, like she tells whoever was on the phone that they can get rid of her work number because she'll be at home. Forever. Yeah. So she hangs up and then she sees a vase of flowers. Vase, however you would like to say it. Up on the mantle in front of a mirror. And she tries to center it using her power, but it keeps sliding over just a little too far. So once again, she's using her power for personal gain without any concern for consequences. Just saying, she did that back in 211, you know.
Yeah.
And, once again this episode, we have a continuity error. The vase was on the left when we first see it, and then when she uses her power the first time to move it, it was on the right and moves to the left.
Yeah, that's one of those ones
it's
where...
It's like they should have just reversed the footage and made it go the other direction. Mm-hmm. Because there was no reason for that error.
Yeah.
Other than stupidity.
Yeah, that's one of those ones where you're like, well, she's gonna move the vase, so should we maybe make sure it starts off on the correct side? And they're like, we'll get in post, and then they didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a stupidity error is what that was, because there was no reason for that error other than somebody just dropped the ball.
Yeah.
And fucked it up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But anyway, this does absolutely jack shit to relieve Prue's boredom.
Yep.
So the phone rings, and she kind of jumps for it.
Yeah, she excitedly answers it. She starts to use her office voice. She goes, Prue, hello? Like, she just kind of, like, she starts to say her name like she would in the office, and then stops. But it's only Phoebe on the phone, and we get a quick cut to Phoebe where we can see that she is wearing a blue shirt and some sort of skirt thing that's like purple at the waist with like a red pattern underneath it. It's a little hard to see at this point. And we get a cute moment between them where Phoebe asks how being jobless is, and Prue acts like she's super excited about it.
Super convincingly, too.
Yeah, and she's like, I don't know why you ever left. And Phoebe says something along the lines of, because the house is only big enough for one homebound Halliwell. Yeah, it was funny. And then Phoebe asks if any of the girls from her study group have called.
And instead of Prue just saying no, she decides to, like, kind of beat around the bush and use, like, 10 words to affect one.
Yeah, it was like, nope, nobody's called. Zilch, zilch, zero, nada, no one at all. Like,
she pulled a Mojo Jojo.
Sure. I don't know what that means.
Okay, so Mojo Jojo is a character from the Powerpuff Girls.
Okay.
He's a little genetically engineered monkey with a huge-ass brain that he keeps under, a clear dome thing.
Yes.
Well, that's not clear. It's, patterned. But he likes to do this thing where he says the same thing 3 times in 3 different ways.
Interesting. All right.
And so he's kind of like Kronk with the spinach puffs.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Or, no, the poison. Kronk with the poison.
Kronk
yeah,
with poison.
kind of like that, except every time gets more flowery.
Got it.
And so that's the Mojo Jojo. My college orchestra professor used to do that when he would berate us for talking too much. He'd go on these 5-minute rants about how the real world is and how you're not supposed to talk and blah, blah, blah. And I started calling him Maestro Jojo.
So he'd go on a 5-minute rant about why you were talking too much.
He'd go on a 5-minute rant about how we were taking up too much time because we were constantly talking.
Uh-huh.
And it would only be 5 minutes because he would do the Mojo Jojo thing of just repeating his points in different ways. We're just
But see, I would just at that point call him the irony man because...
Well, there's that, but also...
You're telling us to shut up by talking at us for 5 minutes telling us to shut up.
Mm-hmm. And then he would go on tangents about his experiences with, groups in Manhattan or whatever.
Weird.
Oh, his dog was cute, though.
No, that's cute.
His dog is named Bartok.
Aww.
And I taught Bartok how to stand with one paw on each knee and give me kisses.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Very sweet dog.
Very sweet. So we cut back to Phoebe, who says that the girls didn't show up for section, which I'm assuming is some, version like a lab or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then we whip pan, hurt my face to watch it, whip pan over.
To the pig dude.
Yeah, he's pushing his way through a line of people who are waiting to get hot dogs from a vendor.
Because he smells food.
Yeah. And he's now wearing jean cutoffs and a gray hoodie where the sleeves have been cut short and black sneakers. Now, these clothes do not look like they would have fit Phoebe's crush dude.
Well, certainly the jeans wouldn't have, but you never know whether or not someone's gonna get an extra large hoodie.
True, but it also doesn't look like that guy would have worn those clothes.
No, it didn't.
It did not look like they were his clothes. So who knows where he got them. And the shoes. Who knows where he got the shoes. But at least he isn't naked anymore.
This is true.
But the funniest part about the gray hoodie, I didn't write it in my notes, but the funniest part about the gray hoodie is that not only were the sleeves cut off, but it was the zipper was broken or something. It wasn't... Hi, Blue. It wasn't zipped up from the bottom or down from the top. It was just kind of closed by a 3-inch section in the middle at his chest. It looked like it had been sewn shut, but it was definitely a zipper hoodie that was not zipped in any way. Okay.
There's another whip pan over to a sign with a pig holding a hot dog on a barbecue fork.
Yep.
And then it whips back to Pig Guy, and somehow he gets from the context what this is about, which, pigs are smart, so I get that.
Yeah.
He grabs the vendor and kind of, yells at him, "How could you do this to them?" And then throws him to the ground.
Yep.
Picks up the hot dogs that have been placed, a la convenience, next to the grill in a pyramid.
No, they were not next to the grill. They were on top of the grill.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, they were on top of the grill in a pyramid. And he, grabs all of them except the one bottom row that's touching the grill.
Yeah.
Grabs them all, shakes them, telling his brothers to run free, and throws them in the air, and then he runs off. We cut back to Phoebe.
Who is on the phone and giggling at this display.
Yeah. And then we cut to Prue, who asked to meet Phoebe for lunch or to go to the gym after class, because Phoebe was like, I'm just going to get a sandwich between classes.
Mm-hmm. Phoebe turns her down for lunch,
right.
But before she can give any response about going to the gym, we see that Rabbit Guy is holding up a girl against a fence.
Yeah, he's now wearing khaki pants and a brown vest over a white tank top.
Which also didn't look like clothes that Phoebe's crush would wear.
No, it really, really didn't. And we hear the girl say, "You're hurting me." So
Phoebe goes into savior mode and hangs up on Prue.
Then goes over to them. And she taps Rabbit on the shoulder and is like, "What's up?" And as soon as she takes her hand away, she has a premonition. And it looks like a male face leaning into a female neck, but we aren't really getting the whole picture. That's all we really see. And the premonition ends, and then Rabbit turns around and tries to punch her, but Phoebe ducks, and then she trips him, and he kind of, like, freaks out a moment and, like, gets up and he runs off. And she turns to the girl and makes sure that she's okay before she goes heading after Rabbit. And as she runs, we can see that the skirt that she's wearing is just another one of those, like, fabric wraps over jeans.
Yeah. Anyway, and he runs around a corner into, like, some kind of a dead-endy thing, and there's a big wall leading up to a... It's like a big retaining wall.
Yeah,
really,
kind of, yeah.
Because there's, like, dirt and grass and trees, like, up on top.
Yeah.
So this must be, like, a loading dock of some sort.
Yeah.
Anyway, he leaps up into the air, like, over top of the camera, basically, and off to the side.
Yeah.
And then when Phoebe comes running around the corner... she sees, he's way up on this fucking retaining wall.
Yeah, he is seemingly too far up for him to have actually gotten away from her, and yet he did. And he's crouched in, like, a really weird position. Like, he looks like he was waiting for her to see him before he takes off running. And then, like, she runs away back the way she came, and we cut over to Prue walking into P3. Mm-hmm. She is now wearing a pink button-down shirt that has been tied into a crop top. No bra, nipples on display.
Full alert.
Yep, and tanned pants. Piper is holding a very large bow.
Almost as large as that goddamn flower heart.
No, it wasn't that big, but it was almost as big as her head.
Yeah. And Prue makes a joke about canceling her Martha Stewart subscriptions.
Yep.
Before sitting down.
Yep. So, for anyone living under a rock, Martha Stewart is an American businesswoman, writer, and television personality who has made her name becoming the crafting queen.
Also convict.
Well, there is that.
My favorite photo is one of her with Snoop Dogg, and someone's like, one of these two people has spent time in jail.
It's not who you think.
It's not Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, it's not who you think. So, Martha Stewart was born in 1941. She is the second of 6 children. She was born in New Jersey. When she was 10, she babysat for the children of Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, and apparently all of the children of the players of the New York Yankees. Because that's a thing you do when you're 10.
And in Jersey.
Yeah, well, we don't know if she was still in Jersey when she was 10, but yeah. She was also a model, and at the age of 15, she was in commercials. And in college, she modeled for Chanel. That's when she met her husband, was when she was modeling for Chanel. They got married in 1961, and a year later, she graduated with a double major in history and architectural history. So it just goes to show you that not everyone uses their degrees.
Correct.
In 1967, she became a stockbroker because that's what her father-in-law did. And in 1976, she started a catering company with somebody that she knew from her modeling days. So she has done a ton of shit, none of which has anything to do with the degree she got in college.
Yep.
So why do we need to get college degrees? I mean, seriously. Anyway. So, she and her husband separated in 1987 and divorced in 1990, but she kept his last name because she had become well known under that name. She had, like, a ton of books coming out under that name, all sorts of stuff. So, there's a ton of stuff, including her legal issues, which have been mentioned, but I've tangented enough on Martha Stewart. Her life is fascinating, and you should absolutely read up on it, so I will link on the website.
And you also need to go watch Martha and Snoop's potluck dinner party.
Yeah, I will put a link for the trailer.
Delightful.
Yeah, I will put a link for the trailer to that on the website as well for anyone who hasn't seen it. You are welcome in advance. It is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I remember I used to watch her Halloween special a lot.
Yeah, I used to watch all of, like, the crafting things. Like, I'd never do any of it, but it was fun to see, like, what can you do with a pumpkin and a glue gun? All right, let's get on this.
You can do so much with a glue gun. I've been seeing, like, hot glue hacks going over Facebook a bunch. Like, someone made fucking sandals out of hot glue.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, all right. I could,
Apparently you can use hot glue as an eraser.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, some of these are more questionable than others.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the show. Prue asks if there's anything that Piper needs help with. Piper jokes about her, saying that she was going to be doing nothing all day. And then has Prue put her finger on something, which I'm assuming was the ribbon on the package, but we aren't shown what it is. And, yeah.
Piper informs Prue that for Dan, she purchased a Valentine's gift of a book on San Francisco architecture. Mm-hmm. I think it's like San Francisco from above or something.
Yeah, it was above San Francisco.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll get there in a second.
Yeah, and she's worried about it being too impersonal for Valentine's, but Prue's like, oh no, that's perfect for him. And she's like, what'd you get for Leo? And Piper's like, what makes you think I got something for Leo?
Yeah, she's like, should I get something for Leo? And Prue's just like, well, duh.
No, not duh. That's making everything way fucking complicated.
Yeah, I know.
But Phoebe walks in.
Yeah.
Mentions her premonition by calling it Phoebe TV.
Yeah, which is kind of cute. I liked it. It was adorable. Piper, of course, was hoping for a day off because Valentine's Day, but Prue asked what the premonition was. And Phoebe says that it was a guy biting a girl.
And Piper's like, could have been kissing. It is that time of year.
Yeah, and Prue thinks that it might have just been a drunk fat guy with his chick of the moment, to which I'm going, why would she have gotten a premonition? Yeah. Why would she have gotten a premonition about some drunk guy with his chick of the moment?
Yeah.
Like, seriously? Have you not learned anything in the past year? Mm-hmm. Just saying.
Yeah. Phoebe isn't really sure what she saw in the premonition now, because she's been a little gaslit. But then she mentions that the dude jumped over a wall.
And then they're like, are you sure he jumped? And she's like, well, there was a ladder nearby. So, like, they're still gaslighting her just a little bit in this, like, are you sure what you saw was real?
Yeah. Piper groans about having dinner plans. And
then holds up the book.
She's like, don't you get it, guys? I have dinner plans. And holds up the book.
Yeah.
And then Phoebe's like, oh, is this a gift from Dan? No, it's a little impersonal.
No, she goes, oh, honey, is that what he got you? Like, that was the best thing ever. It was like,
yeah.
Oh, it's a little impersonal.
Yeah, so Piper drops the book back down on the table and lays her head on it.
Yeah, it was very funny. And the book is called Above San Francisco. It's a real book. You can still get it.
They have them of different cities, too.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I had one from Chicago.
Yep. Phoebe, like, excitedly asks what she's getting for Leo. She goes, so what'd you get Leo? What'd you get Leo? Like, this, like, I need to know these things. And Piper throws the bow at her, which was just hilarious. But again, I want to know, like, if she hadn't actually done the book yet, like, if she hadn't wrapped the book, what was Prue putting her finger on?
I don't know.
Like, that just doesn't make any sense. Whatever. Anyway, we cut over to the study group girls walking into a building, which I'm assuming is the dorm room building. Tessa is...
And that's how you know you're in a college.
Yes. Tessa is now in gray pants, a purple shirt, and a red jacket. Andrea is in black pants, a two-toned purple shirt, and a fuzzy jacket in a third shade of purple. Brooke is in jeans, a gray shirt, and a blue jacket. Mm-hmm. It was all clothing that I probably would have worn.
Probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tessa, very typically of her, we are learning, is worried because they missed class.
Yeah, they missed section, and, that's not like us kind of thing. But Andrea just wants to find her date.
Yeah.
Tessa thinks that it isn't natural that animals have become human, and she wants to turn them back, though Andrea thinks that it's cool.
And Brooke's like, guys, we just have to wait until midnight, and the spell will end.
Yeah. And then they walk into a room, which I'm assuming is their room. There's no pentacle drawn on the ground anymore, so they must have done some cleanup.
Yeah.
And our animal boys are sitting there on the couch. Snake is wearing black pants and a black t-shirt and black combat boots. So there is no fucking way that he got those from Phoebe's crush.
Nope.
None. None at all. Especially the combat boots.
Yeah.
Like, this kid is not a black-on-black combat boot kind of kid. He's just not. So, anyway.
Snake is kind of holding the spell book and accusingly asks them, What is this? What is this?
Yeah. Andrea says that it's the spell that made them human, which, no, it's the book where the spell came from, but that's neither here nor there.
Mm-hmm. So Rabbit kind of asks how long it'll last, and we see he's looking at his hand because his fingers are already starting to, like, grow rabbit claws again.
And then he, like, jumps up and growls at Tessa, and then Brooke answers that the spell was for 24 hours, but they're basically down to 12 now. Snake says that they want to stay human and tells them to fix it. And then Rabbit, who's still sniffing around Tessa, says that they're having fun.
And Andrea kind of does a little, like, jealous thing of being like, "Whoa, Rabbit, you're supposed to be mine."
Yeah, it's like, aren't you supposed to be mine? Yeah. And Snake tells her that they could have much more fun if they had more time. And then Brooke says that she might know someone who can help. And so she goes over to her bag and gets the flyer for the party at P3, saying that Phoebe will be there. Andrea's like, "I have the class roster. I know where she lives." And Snake's like, "Well, then we're going there."
Pig is predictably still hungry.
Yeah.
Tessa is predictably still worried.
Yep.
And Snake, not exactly predictably, but kind of, tells the other girls to go on without them and they'll catch up.
Yeah. And like the horrible friends and people that they are, Brooke and Andrea leave Tessa alone. Even though they know for a fact that these boys are kind of aggressive right now.
Yeah.
They just are like, "Yep, we'll just leave our friend alone with you. Sure, see you later. We'll be outside." And Tessa tries to leave, but Rabbit, like, grabs her and pulls her back. And then Snake calls her a little troublemaker and grabs her, and we hear her make some, like, whining noises, and we go to commercial break. So, I have many questions about this scene, including but not limited to, how does Snake know how to read? Because
I don't know that it was saying that he did know how to read.
Right,
he was
but
just
why
like,
would he have looked at the book? Like, why would that book have clued him in that anything was a thing?
I don't know, was there like a pentacle in the book or something and he recognized the shape?
I don't know. It's never explained.
Nope.
Why do Andrea and Brooke leave Tessa with these guys who are clearly not happy?
Never explained.
And why is Rabbit starting to change back with 12 hours left in the spell?
Never explained.
Yeah. So many questions that are never explained. Anyway, so when we come back from our commercial break, we get an exterior shot of a store. Inside, we see Phoebe and Piper, and it looks to be a small-town version of Hallmark, because all we see are cards and stuff. But apparently it's supposed to be the bookstore.
Yeah, the college bookstore?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it kind of looked like.
But there was just greeting cards and shit. Like, there weren't books anywhere.
I'd have to rewatch the scene to see more.
Whatever.
And
anyway.
I don't want to do that right now.
No. Anyway, Phoebe has added a shiny purple jacket to her outfit, and Piper has added a brown jacket to hers, and they're both carrying takeaway coffee cups, which we all know are empty.
Very empty.
Yeah.
Just like our souls.
Only yours. You're the only redhead in the room.
I know.
Anyway, Piper thanks Phoebe for coming with her, and Phoebe was just happy to get away from Prue, who has apparently taken over decorating the club to deal with her boredom. And we find that they are looking for a card for Leo. Piper would like one that says, "You used to be my white lighter, and now your wings are clipped, and now you're sleeping in my club."
But Phoebe thinks, "You snooze, you lose, and now I'm getting naked with the neighbor," would be better.
Yeah. Piper hits her on the arm in that, like, cute sisterly way. And then Phoebe grabs a card and reads it.
Which is apparently in Portuguese.
Yep. And she's like, "Well, he might not understand it, but at least he wouldn't be angry about it." Which I thought was kind of funny.
Knowing Leo, he probably knows Portuguese.
Probably, yeah. And then she notices the spell book on the table. And so this is when we figure out that this is supposed to be the aforementioned college bookstore. Piper then reads out a sappy card, which makes Phoebe laugh. And then she goes over and picks up one of the spell books. And she tells Piper about the book, joking that witches are so in right now. Yeah. But Piper says that it's the holidays giving people hope for finding love.
Mm-hmm. Phoebe kind of flips through it, saying about how people don't think about the consequences.
Yeah. And Piper realizes that the stuff in the book is nothing like the stuff in the Book of Shadows, and says that, normal people can't make it work. Just as Phoebe flips and we find the create a mate spell, which is the one that the girls used. So, foreshadowing. Mm-hmm. And she seems to remember something because she has seen this spell before. And then she's like, "I'm going to go ask Prue for help with a thing. Okay, bye." And Piper jokes that Prue will be thrilled for something to do. That was kind of funny. And Phoebe leaves, and she picks up another card, and it just says on the outside, "For you."
And isn't there like a border pattern on the outside?
There's like a little heart
typey
thing in the middle. And so on the outside it just says for you, and then you open it and all it says is always. And she's impressed by the card saying, that's
suck.
a card.
Oh, yeah.
And then she puts it back and picks up another one that says, to a dear friend on the outside. And she says that one will do. And as she leaves holding that card, we pan over to see Leo standing in the next aisle. And he is holding that same for you always card. Because reasons. And then we cut to an exterior shot of P3. This is the exact same shot as before. And then Piper walking down the stairs, she's calling out for anyone to answer her, but there is no one in the club, and there's petals on the floor, leading someplace. She notices them and she follows them to a little alcove with red curtains, which we are shown by shaky POV camera for some reason.
She opens those curtains and sees 2 long stem red roses, a bowl of chocolate-covered strawberries, champagne in a bucket, and 2 glasses on the table.
Yep.
And of course, Dan there is holding a 3rd red rose.
Yep. He says that it's going to ruin dinner, meaning the chocolate-covered strawberries and champagne, apparently.
Yeah, but she's enchanted, and she's like, oh, that's so sweet, and goes over to the bottle in the bucket.
And before even looking at the bottle, like as she's pulling it out of the bucket, she says that it's Piper Red Label. Which I just thought was very, very interesting. Because she goes, Piper Red Label, and then she lifts it up so you can actually see the label.
I figure they probably had a conversation about...
I don't know.
I feel like they might have walked through a store at one point and seen a bottle of champagne that said Piper Red Label. And they probably commented on it, and they're like, oh, this is really cute. And so she probably just recognized the packaging.
Well, I'm sure that she recognized the packaging because she has been in a wine store before. We've seen her in liquor store before.
Yes.
So I think she did. But I don't think they were in a store together and noticing it. Because I
feel like that's a really good kind of, in joke, though.
Well, yeah, but he, because he says that, he thinks it had to be the best because of the name, and he hands her a glass. But I'm not going to tangent on it, but I looked up Piper Red Label. It's a $50 bottle of champagne.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's no Dom Perignon.
Well, I'll link to the website for the company for anyone who cares to check it out, but it is a $50 bottle of champagne.
That he got because it's literally her name.
Yeah. I have so many thoughts on this, and I'm going to keep them all to myself because we all know how I feel about Dan. Anyway. With the yawning, yes. So, for some a la convenience reason, Piper is still holding the card that she got for Leo. There's literally no reason that she should be holding it in her hand, because presumably the college bookstore is not next door. She had to drive someplace. Why didn't she put it in her purse? Just saying, it's an a la convenience thing. He hands her the glass of champagne. She is holding the glass, doesn't drink from it. As he is drinking from his glass, she's trying to hide the card behind her back so that Dan doesn't see it.
Which, of course, naturally he does.
Totally.
And asks if it's for him.
Yeah, and instead of instantly saying no...
She just kind of hands it over.
Yeah, he takes it from her, he removes it from the envelope, and he reads it. She could have said it's not for you at any point in that transaction, and she never did.
Uh-huh.
And then he sees that it says, to a dear friend... and jokes that, he's so happy that she's deeply in like with him. And then angrily asks if it's for Leo. And she tries to get him to understand that it says friend on it and that she's not willing to end her friendship with Leo.
And he's like, well, I'm not sure Leo thinks of it that way.
Yeah.
And she tries to say, everyone has a past and he can't just pick and choose.
Yeah.
She's like, you get all of me.
And then he's like, are you sure about that?
Fair point.
Yeah, and then she shuts down the conversation by saying that she has to work and she'll see him later tonight. And he's like, fine, and walks away. And she stands there for a moment and she goes, fine. It's love Valentine's Day.
Yep.
It was kind of funny. And then we cut over to Rabbit smashing the glass on the front door of the manor, slashing one of the big panes in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And he puts his hand in to open up the door, and this is where, finally, Brooke and Andrea think that these animal boys have gone just a little too far. Even though, according to Brooke, since they left campus, the boys have, quote, beaten a pedestrian to a pulp and played chicken with a car, unquote, this breaking a window is finally the last straw for these girls.
Breaking and entering. Oh.
Yeah. She then asks if they're on something, meaning, drugs.
But Andrea just thinks that they're crazy.
Yeah, she's like, are you just crazy? Whatever. And then she says that even though the boys said Tessa wasn't feeling well, even though, she seemed fine, that, maybe they should check on her. Yeah, because now you have a backbone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you left Tessa, she was feeling just fine. You know that the boys were aggressive. And they're just like, oh, she's not feeling well. I would immediately think, oh my god, they've killed her.
Yeah.
Because, wouldn't you? I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, I have so many thoughts on this.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez. Anyway.
Yeah. Snake tells them that they need Phoebe. And Pig kind of reaches over to pull some, peeling skin off of Snake's neck. And we see, fake snake skin underneath.
Yeah, but it's really funny because the piece of skin that he pulls off the neck and the piece of skin that he's holding after he pulls it off are completely different sizes. The piece that he pulls off is really big and the piece that he's holding is really small.
Yeah.
So we have our third continuity error for the episode.
Uh-huh. Rabbit, again, looks at his hands, and the claws look a little better than they did before.
Yeah, now they look kind of manicured, where, last time they looked like they were long and jagged, and now they're short and kind of, rounded. It's very weird.
Uh-huh.
Very, very weird.
Yes. Pig lifts his hands.
And we see his fingers get CG morphed into a hoof.
Yep.
It was kind of like Live Long and Prosper,
Uh-huh.
It was very, very funny. And then we cut to Snake and we see a CGI forked tongue come out of his mouth.
Mm-hmm. Pig asks what's happening. Rabbit just then realizes that they're changing back.
Yeah.
And Brooke's like, oh, we knew this would happen. That's what the spell said.
Yeah. We knew you were going to change back, But I still want to know why they're changing back so early. It literally doesn't make any sense other than a la convenience. We have to have this moment of tension.
Yeah.
And this is the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
But whatever. So Brooke tries to get the guys to realize that they can't fix it because Phoebe isn't there. And Andrea finally has realized that Tessa was right about not doing all of this. And then the snake grabs Andrea, who screams, and he supposedly bites her on the neck. Now, this happens off camera, so we don't see it.
But I think we probably already saw it in the premonition.
Yeah. And so she falls to the floor, but at this point we aren't sure if she's dead or alive.
Dead or alive.
Yes. And Snake's like, she talked too much. And then Rabbit grabs Brooke, who starts screaming. Pig is, this isn't fun anymore, and I'm all about it with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
him with
Rabbit,
his cute little lisp.
Yep. But Rabbit, of course, thinks that it is. And then Snake says, next time you want a dangerous man, you might want to make sure he's not poisonous. She screams, he bites her on the neck, and she falls to the floor. Now, first of all,
nope.
Snakes aren't poisonous.
Nope.
They're venomous.
Guys, remember, if you eat it and it kills you, it's poisonous. If it bites you and you die, it's venomous.
Yes. And if you bite each other and neither of you die, it's kinky. Anyway, secondly, the snake used in the spell was a king snake, and those are not venomous. They're constrictors like boas. Just saying. So if he had crushed her to death, it would have made more sense.
But that doesn't work for a plot point.
But it does.
It doesn't work for the same plot point.
Well, see, here's the thing. So let's just continue, and it'll all make sense in a moment. So Pig doesn't understand why Snake had to go and do that. Snake then asks for the paper, and Rabbit hands him the flyer from P3.
And as
it was out of his back pocket, folded up. It's kind of interesting.
And as Pig continues to freak out and ask if they're dead, Snake, kind of offhandedly responds, oh, there will be. While he's,
sniffing the paper, yeah.
He's, sniffing the paper with his tongue to get the scent.
Yeah.
Kinda
so,
creepy.
At least we're aware that the girls are still alive, at least for the moment. Mm-hmm. And Rabbit reminds Snake that they need the girls and Phoebe for the spell. Snake says that they've got 4 hours before the girls die and 4 hours before they turn back.
Which means it's 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Which also means
it's been 6 hours since they left campus.
Yeah.
Wow, guys. Efficient.
Yeah.
Also, it is full daylight out, in this scene.
Yeah. There are so many things. So Many things. Yeah. But so they're saying, 4 hours, so that should be motivation for Phoebe to help them.
A la convenience.
Yep. And then the snake tongue sticks out. He says that he's got her scent, but she's not at home. And then Pig tries to back out. He starts crying and he's like blubbering about, we shouldn't do this. We should just go back to being animals. And then Snake and Rabbit walk up to him and he realizes that they're coming for him next. He tries to get them to stop, but Rabbit and Snake both grab him and squeeze him until he squeals, because, pig. And then he falls to the floor. So this is what I'm saying. He's a constrictor. Squeezing makes sense. I'm still not quite sure why the rabbit did the whole squeezing thing, because why would a rabbit take on a pig, or a snake for that matter?
I don't know.
There's a lot happening that just doesn't make any sense, but whatever. Snake jokes about Pig never shutting up, and then we cut over to Phoebe and Prue coming into the dorms.
So you're out of college.
Yes. Prue has added a black vest to her outfit. It looks both fleece and fur-lined, because February in California.
Mm-hmm. Fur-lined, not purloined.
Sure.
Stolen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Though we don't know. It could have been from Miss Hellfire's outfit.
It could have been. Yep. It didn't look that sleek.
No, but it was black.
True.
Yeah. Prue wonders how mortals could cast a spell and have it work, and all Phoebe knows is that something is wrong.
A guy walks past them wearing only a towel. I mean, I'd say he was clearly from the shower, but he was bone dry. And Prue jokes about going back to college.
Yeah. And then they walk up to the study group girls' room, and we find Phoebe's crush happens to be standing there.
And we finally learn that apparently his name is Ethan.
Yep. So, I shall tell you about him. His name is Rafer Weigel. He was born in 1969 in Evanston, Illinois, and he is the son of Tim Weigel, who is a sportscaster in Chicago, who got fired in order to make way for Mark Giangreco, and I'm still a little salty about it. Just saying. That's a me problem. Anyway, Rafer started acting in 1995. He completely stopped acting in 2005. His dad died in 2001, and that's when he decided to pursue a career in journalism. Most recently, he's an anchor on a St. Louis news channel.
Cool.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot to know about him because he's no longer an actor and he's just a news anchor.
Yeah.
But so if you happen to know the Fox affiliate in St. Louis and you see Rafer Weigel, that's who that is. Enjoy. Anyway, so Phoebe notices the cut on Ethan's forehead. She asks about it, and he says that it was just a drunk frat guy, and then Phoebe introduces him to Prue, which I thought was kind of interesting. I was like, oh, okay, you're adorable and you're hurt. Here's my sister. Like, what? All right.
Well, I mean, here's the person you clearly don't know in this exchange. She was hanging out with me. Like, maybe I should let you know who this is.
Yeah. They exchange hellos, and then Ethan says that the girls don't seem to be at home.
And he comments about the fact that while Andrea and Brooke would bail on class, it doesn't really seem like something Tessa would do.
Yeah. But he also has the thought that they might have had something better to do because, it's Valentine's Day.
And Phoebe kind of dreamily asks if he has something better to do. But Prue very quickly puts an end to that conversation. She's like, nice to meet you. Shakes his hand. And he's like, oh, it's nice to meet you too. Tells Phoebe he'll see her tonight and then walks away.
Yeah, and Phoebe kind of like dreamily goes, okay. And then she makes like she's going to follow him and Prue grabs her by the hood of her jacket and pulls her back. It was super funny. So then Phoebe's like, oh, yes, you're right. Love takes a backseat to duty.
And as Prue uses her power to unlock the door, she makes a joke that she was the product of love in the backseat.
Yeah, that Phoebe was the product of a backseat tryst, if you will.
They walk in, there's a quick pan of the room, and Prue calls it a pigsty.
Yep, it was a lovely unintended joke, at least on her part. It made me laugh, so that's, nice. And Prue sees the book on the floor. She asks if it's the spell book. And when Phoebe confirms that it is, we hear noises coming from the closet.
Some very, very quiet, whimpery noises.
Yep.
So they kind of warily walk over and open the closet. And in it is Tessa, who is bound, gagged, and locked in a cage.
Yeah.
Which, while some people might find that extremely fun, she does not seem to be enjoying it.
Nope, not so much. And then they kind of stare at her. And we go to commercial break.
Yeah.
Because reasons, I guess. So when we come back from commercial, we get an exterior night shot of the manor, and we see Prue, Phoebe, and Tessa walk into the dining room from the back of the house, a la convenience. And they sit Tessa down in a chair in the dining room. And we see that Tessa's shirt has a hole in it. A couple of holes, actually. And she has a cut on her cheek, which is a very short, shallow cut, but it's noticeable. Phoebe asks her to tell them what happened. And she's like, you won't understand. It sounds crazy. But they convince her to explain.
Tessa explains about the spell from the book and mentions to Phoebe that they played back the tape recording of her correcting the spell.
Yeah.
And then Phoebe and her kind of exchange a look like, oh shit, this is kind of Phoebe's fault because, this isn't caused by warlocks or demons. It's just because Phoebe is a witch in the digital age where shit can get recorded and played back.
Yeah, because apparently she didn't realize that her friends were recording the sessions, or at least that they hadn't turned off the tape recorder at that point. Yeah. And then we get a bit of back and forth with them telling Tessa that it's not her fault and all that stuff. And then Phoebe goes to the kitchen to find hydrogen peroxide, which I'm assuming is to deal with the cut on Tessa's face.
Yeah.
And she's looking under the sink, and then there's a banging noise, and we get a whip pan through the kitchen, and we get a POV from behind two doors.
Wait a second. When did they move from the dorm room to the manor?
After the commercial break.
Okay, that's just funny. Clearly didn't take them 6 hours to get there.
No, it did not. But they also weren't beating people up in the street and,
playing chicken with cars.
Yeah. So we cut back to Prue and Tessa, and Prue finally notices the broken glass on the front door, which is broken in a different pattern than it was before.
Yep.
Because,
continuity.
Yeah. Prue then calls out to Phoebe, and we cut back to Phoebe, who calls out to Prue, asking if she knows where the hydrogen peroxide is. And then she walks over to a, closet thing in the kitchen, opens the door, and a body is standing there, and it is Pig with a snout on his face, which means that he wasn't dead when they squeezed him to death because he didn't have the snout when they squeezed him.
But, maybe the spell doesn't account for whether or not they're still alive. It'll turn them back into animals regardless.
Maybe. Who knows?
Because, you can't ever not do anything.
So she screams, and he, or rather his stunt double, falls out on top of her. The hair was wrong.
Yeah.
The face shape was wrong. They figured, we'll just stick a pig nose on it and nobody will know that it's not the same guy. Guess what, motherfuckers?
Guess what, chicken butt?
Yeah. So Prue and Tessa hear the thump of them hitting the ground, and they come running into the kitchen. And Phoebe pushes Pig off of her and stands up.
And Tessa's like, oh, that was one of them, but he didn't look like that.
And then Prue realizes that the spell is wearing off, and now there's no way of telling how they're going to react because they've now killed one of their own, which was,
there's no indication that they knew each other before this whole debacle.
No, but they're all animals turned human, and now they've killed one of their own. That kind of... It makes sense, but it's still funny. Phoebe asks what they want, and Tessa tells her that Andrea said that Phoebe would be able to help them
stay human.
But that's a continuity error because it was Brooke who said that Phoebe could help. Andrea just agreed to it.
Yeah. So, and then told them where Phoebe lived.
Yeah. Phoebe asks where they are, and then Tessa kind of glances around the kitchen for a minute for some reason, and then she notices the flyer for the party at P3 on the fridge, and she goes over to the fridge and picks it up and is like, they're going to be here. And for the first time, we get a good look of the flyer. It's red paper, and it's handwritten with little hearts, and it says, P3 V-Day, Party Hardy, heart-y, 8 p.m. to daylight.
Which means that by the time they arrived at the house, the party was already going.
Apparently. And then we cut to an exterior night shot. Outside, we pan down from trees in the dark to see a car driving up to another car that's supposedly broken down. Snake and Rabbit have apparently flagged down this car. It stops to see what's going on, and the man inside asks if they need help. Snake says that they run out of gas, and the man says, what can I do?
Snake kind of, lowers his head, and when he lifts it up again, his eyes have turned into snake eyes.
Yep.
And he tells the dude not to scream, at which point Rabbit kind of, hops onto the hood of the car.
Yeah, he jumps...
growling?
Yeah, he jumps from the back of the car to the front hood of the car, and then starts growling through the window.
Which is only a behavior I've ever seen in Monty Python from rabbits.
Yeah, I've never known a rabbit to act like this except for Monty Python.
Mm-hmm.
It makes no real sense, but whatever. So Snake then jumps on the roof, he runs across the roof and, like, leans over the edge of the driver's window, which is also rolled down, and then he strangles the guy through the window. So once again, we have a constrictor moment.
Yeah.
Just saying. That'll be another shirt. Just saying. Rabbit then opens the trunk of the other car, that was the supposedly broken down one, showing that Andrea and Brooke are both inside the trunk of the car. He then says that he's got a new set of wheels and laughs maniacally.
Yeah.
Because why not?
Yeah. And we cut over to P3. No exterior shot. Mm-hmm. Piper is talking to Prue on her cell phone.
Wearing a lovely pink dress.
Mm-hmm. And she's just kind of walking through the club. There's a joke about men being snakes.
Yeah.
She reminds Prue about her dinner plans with Dan because she doesn't want to, like, postpone those. Mm-hmm. And then we see Leo kind of tending the bar behind her.
Yeah, he's in a silky gray button-down shirt. This is the most un-Leo-like he's been. Like, we've never seen him in something like this. Slinky. Yeah, that's a good word for it. Apparently, Prue is 5 minutes away, so they hang up. Leo asks if everything's okay, and Piper says that Prue and Phoebe have found a problem that's on the way to the club, and tells him to be on the lookout for anyone looking for Phoebe.
With perfect comic timing, Ethan walks up to the bar and asks if they know where Phoebe is.
Yep. He's wearing a black shirt under a shiny silver jacket, so I guess maybe some of the clothes in the basket could have been his.
Could have been.
But, again, none of those clothes would have fit the way that they fit.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Anyway, Piper has a little bit of a pause, but then she says, oh yeah, she should be here any minute. If you sit right there,
you'll have a perfect view. Yeah, like, go sit and wait for her. So he goes over to sit at the bar. Leo asks to help, but Piper says that since he's lost his wings, she doesn't want him to get hurt. And then he kind of, like, turns to see Dan coming down the stairs, and so he just walks away. Like, he doesn't. Out of there. Yeah, he doesn't even make mention of it. He just turns and walks away. And Dan walks up to Piper, and he's now wearing a red button-down shirt that was a different red button-down shirt than he was wearing earlier, with black pants, and he's got a black jacket over top. And we get a short, cute moment where he tries to, like, put the morning behind them, get on with their night, because it's like, you know, yeah, I was upset with you this morning, but now it's nighttime.
Yeah.
Let's get past it.
And Piper starts to say something of, like actually, and she starts to go off into what he thinks is going to be an excuse, because he assumes she's canceling on him again. Yep. And he just throws, like, all of her previous excuses back in her face.
Yeah, like, you know, it's got to be, like, a family situation, or...
Let me guess.
Yeah.
Like, kind of deal.
Life or death,
like,
you know.
The short, cute moment is very quickly over because of him.
Yeah.
And she just kind of stops him and goes, well, if you'd let me finish, I was going to tell you, I'm running a little behind, and could you wait for me at the bar?
Yeah, and then she kind of, like, she walks away and she, like, pats him on the chest as she goes. And it was really, like, the best moment for me, where in my brain I'm going, and now she knows she needs to break up with this guy, right? Right? Is this the moment where she's like, this dude's just never gonna get it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But apparently not. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Rabbit and Snake enter the club, and Piper walks
right past them, yeah. And they walk around, they're looking for Phoebe. They even grab a girl and, like, spin her around because she apparently smells kind of vaguely like Phoebe. Like, there's no other way.
Well, Phoebe's been here, so a little bit of her scent is around.
Yeah. And then Prue, Phoebe, and Tessa enter the club. And Phoebe is holding a pen and paper, and Tessa has on a new top. This one is a pink zip-up hoodie, so she's apparently borrowed a top from somebody. And then Leo comes over and tells them where Piper is. She's in a little alcove de-stressing.
Yeah.
Prue asks Leo to watch Tessa, and he agrees. And then Tessa asks Phoebe how the smell is coming along.
And Phoebe's like, I need a pinch of the salt of life. Leo responds, we have the salt of margaritas.
Yeah. And it was a cute little moment. She goes, yep, that'll work.
Yep, you know. It's salt.
Yep. Prue and Phoebe go to find Piper, and Prue, like, touches the front of Leo's shirt before she goes. Like, she wanted to feel the texture of it. And then he, like, makes sure that it was tucked in properly. It was very weird. It was, like, a weird little moment.
Yeah. Tessa asks Leo who he is, and he's like, oh, I'm just a friend.
Yeah. And then an announcement goes out that Janice Robinson is about to start singing.
Whoa.
Yeah. And Leo gets Tessa to follow him as he walks away. And so we cut over to Janice singing on the stage, and she is wearing a very large feathery jacket, like rainbow colors of feathers.
She's a lovely black lady with a bald head.
Yes. And that is like her signature is her bald
yeah.
head. And she's got like a black shirt and black leather pants.
It looked like something I'd seen in Fifth Element.
Yeah, a little bit. And we see Snake and Rabbit still walking through the club, and then we see that Ethan and Dan are sitting next to each other, or like one person away from each other.
Yeah, they're bus theoreming it.
They're what?
Oh, it's a thing in physics. It's called the bus theorem, because like when you get on a bus, you fill up one seat at like you don't, unless you're specifically with a person. Like a bunch of strangers go on a bus and they'll like one person per seat per row.
Okay.
Instead of like two to a seat per row, and only when every row has one person in it do you start to double up if it's a bunch of strangers on a bus.
Yeah.
And that's just to do with how electrons fill up their shells. Because you can have, it's in groups of two, so like it's just to do with the position of electrons in a valence shell.
Okay.
In a shell or whatever, wherever they go. Okay. I forget the term for it specifically. I think the valence shell is the outside one.
Okay.
But yeah.
I will
That's
take
the bus
your
theorem.
word on it. All right. It's kind of like the urinal thing.
Yes.
Where if you walk into a thing, you have to go like as far away from the other guy as possible.
Or, yeah, like at my work, there's 4 stalls, and I usually get the first one. But if someone's in the middle one, I don't want to go into either the first one or the third one. But the fourth one is the handicap, and so I'm just like, this is awkward. So don't go into the middle stall when there's 3. Go into one of the ends.
I usually go into the handicap stall because that's the one where the door goes outward.
Yeah.
And, I'm a bigger girl. I hate having to straddle the toilet just to get into the stall.
Yeah.
Because the door goes in, and it literally goes up to the freaking toilet. So I have to straddle the toilet to close the door behind me, and that's just wrong.
Yeah.
So I will go into the handicap stall just for the convenience of not having to straddle the fucking toilet. Anyway, back to the show. Prue and Phoebe find Piper in the alcove, and she asks how the battle plan is coming along.
Prue tells her that they didn't find anything in the Book of Shadows, which Phoebe thinks makes sense because this was just careless magic, not really evil or anything.
Yeah. Piper then questions how they fix it, and Prue says that Phoebe is writing a spell to turn them back. Phoebe says that she doesn't work well under pressure, which is very funny because we've seen her work well under pressure.
Yep.
And Prue asks if there's any sign of the guys. Piper says that she's been watching the guy who came in looking for Phoebe, who happens to be Ethan, but he doesn't seem creepy, and they all kind of look over at Ethan.
And Prue very kind of smiles and says, "Oh, that's her date."
Yeah. And then Daryl arrives.
For some reason.
Well,
I mean, we find out, but
yeah.
Just for some reason at this point. Hi, Blue.
Hi, Blue. He's in a white t-shirt and a black jacket. It's very nice to see him out of a suit. I think this is the first time we've seen him out of a suit. Like every other time he's been on police business, so he's in a suit. Piper hopefully asks if he's there for a romantic evening with his wife.
And he kind of bitterly says, "Oh, I'm already late for that."
Yeah, it's like, no. That's what I'd be late for. I just came to, give you a heads up on something. So this is the first time that Daryl's mentioned that he's married. Though it has been mentioned in a previous episode that he's a father, this is the first time that it's mentioned that he's married. I don't ever remember seeing a ring on his finger, but I'll be honest, haven't been looking. He's there, apparently, to give them a heads up that cops are on their way to the club because, while it's not his case, because he's homicide, he's heard about some violent crimes on campus that have spread all the way to the parking lot of P3.
It's actually really funny that he's not on the case, because when Andy was alive, they were always on the case, no matter what it was.
Yeah. Piper then gets up to warn security, and Leo comes in and hands a shot glass full of salt to Phoebe. Tessa says that the guys are there, and we see Snake and Rabbit in the crowd, and Rabbit now has red eyes to go with Snake's snake eyes. So maybe it is the Monty Python rabbit. Just saying.
Well, it's an albino. It's an albino rabbit.
I don't think it was, though.
It was a little white albino rabbit.
I don't think it was an albino rabbit. I think it was just a white rabbit. But whatever, it doesn't really matter. Snake Guy smells out Phoebe.
Snake Guy.
Yes. He smells out Phoebe. Phoebe realizes that she's been spotted. And then Snake peels some flesh off of his face to show more snake skin underneath it.
As you do.
Yeah. Prue asks how the spell is coming along. Daryl seems wary of the whole magic talk thing. And then Snake Dude knocks somebody down, which gets Daryl to go into cop mode, where he gets out his gun, which he happened to have while going to dinner with his wife, but, whatever. And he heads out of the alcove.
Yeah, that's a great thing to do in a crowded club.
Yeah.
Get your gun.
Yeah. Prue, calls out to stop him, but Daryl goes right up to Snake and Rabbit. And then Prue astral projects in front of him to stop him. In the middle of everyone. No regard for anything. Including personal gain consequences. Or, just consequences in general. Just saying. Meanwhile, Phoebe has apparently finally finished the spell. So much for not working well under pressure. Leo and Tessa leave the alcove just as Piper walks back into it, and Phoebe closes the red curtains behind her.
Snake tells Astral Prue, kind of threatens her really, that they need to make them human or they won't find the girls alive in time.
Yeah. Phoebe then starts to say the spell, and Prue calls out, no, don't say the spell. Snake and Rabbit try to grab her as she disappears because she astral projects back into her body, just as Phoebe finishes the spell because it was a short fucking spell.
Mm-hmm. And they show kind of a flash of white light behind the curtain, showing that it took effect.
Yeah, and the spell is, something wicked in our midst, in human form these spirits dwell, make them animals, saith the spell.
Which is an interesting format.
Yeah, and that's actually how it goes. Make them animals, saith the spell. Hard to say, even harder to read. Just saying. Prue, for some reason in ADR, tells Phoebe that the girls are hidden, so they need to keep the animal dudes human until they find them. And then Phoebe looks out of the alcove and sees everyone in the club has turned into animals.
She closes the curtain and turns around and says, "Good news, the spell worked. Bad news, it worked on everyone."
Yeah, and then Prue and Piper look out of the alcove and we see a bunch of green screen animals. There is, just to name a few, a camel, a horse, a goat, a swan, a monkey, a sheep, a llama, a few different birds, a cat, a dog, a turtle, and an elephant. And those are just the ones that I noticed at first glance. Mm-hmm. There's also a bear behind the bar, which part of me thinks is Leo.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, and then Piper says, "I don't have a permit for this kind of a party."
Yeah, and we see even more animals, including a hamster and a rooster. Mm-hmm. And then we go to commercial break.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't we?
Yeah, I think there's even a chimp in there.
Yeah. So, when we come back from commercial break, we get an exterior shot of the neon P3 sign. And inside, Prue and Piper are closing boxes on the floor. There's these wooden boxes on the floor. And it's assumed that inside are the rabbit and the snake. And then we hear a cow moo, which makes Piper basically tell Phoebe to hurry up.
Literally everything in this scene is on a green screen. Each of the animals individually are on a green screen.
And the girls are on a green screen. And the lighting was off just enough that it was hurting my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're worried about finding Brooke and Andrea, because apparently there's only 35 minutes left since the original spell was cast.
Yeah, there's only 35 minutes left in their 24-hour window, apparently.
Which means it took the dudes 3.5 hours to get from the house to P3.
Yeah, well...
I mean, you gotta advance the plot somehow, but this is just hilarious.
You do, but again, how did they know how to drive? Because the girls definitely weren't driving.
No.
So, like I said, there are so many questions.
Never explained.
Never explained. Anyway, so, they then remember that Daryl said that the stolen car was in the parking lot.
And Piper's like, Daryl also said the cops are on their way.
Yeah. Phoebe says that it was her mistake that made all of this happen, so she'll fix it while they go find the girls. And then they realize that Phoebe's premonitions are never wrong, so the girls will need medical attention. And then the chimpanzee that is on the bar and holding a beer bottle kisses Phoebe on the cheek.
Oh, it's probably Ethan.
Maybe? But
what's this thing at the bar?
Yeah, we don't know. Thank you, Blue. Thank you for the kisses. Thank you so much for the kisses. I'm getting kisses from Blue.
Yeah.
As Phoebe was getting kisses from a chimpanzee.
Mm-hmm.
Which, it's funny though, because Phoebe getting kissed by the chimpanzee annoys Piper for some reason. And Prue says that they should take the animals that they put in the boxes with them so that they don't turn back into humans when Phoebe redoes the spell thing, reverses the spell.
Yeah. Piper wants to make sure that they have the right animals, but Prue points out that not only were these the only rabbit and snake next to each other, but Phoebe adds they were also the only ones to put up a fight.
Yeah. And then Prue and Piper start walking toward the door, where a tiger has chased a poodle up the stairs.
Mm-hmm. And Phoebe's like, hey, Piper, can we get a little supernatural corral? So Piper just, like, whips out her hand and freezes all the animals.
Yep. So Phoebe thanks her, and then Prue and Piper leave. And Phoebe then tells the room full of frozen animals that she's a vegetarian and has never eaten any of them. Though, unless she's been a vegetarian since birth, she can't say that she's never eaten any of them. After all, there was a turkey at her feet and a couple of chickens on the bar. Just saying.
Yeah, but we don't...
And we heard a cow moo.
We've not seen enough of Phoebe's eating to know whether or not.
But I'm doubting she was a vegetarian since birth. I'm sure she possibly had something chicken, turkey, or beef related as a child.
Probably.
Just saying. So we cut to outside, and then we pan down from the P3 neon sign to see Prue and Phoebe carrying the boxes out into the parking lot.
Prue asks why she's the one who has to carry the snake, and Piper's like, well, you're the oldest. You've lived a full life. They see a car toward the back of the lot, and Prue's like, oh, is that the one?
And Piper asks if Prue wants her to ask the rabbit, and she shakes the box.
Which makes Prue call her a smartass.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. I'm sorry, Blue. I didn't mean to shake you. I shook him a little bit when I said shake the box and freaked him out. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So they walk over to the car after Prue calls Piper a smartass. They put the boxes on the ground. And then we cut back to Phoebe because can't stay in one place too long. Mm-hmm. She's now sitting at a table with the chimpanzee, or a chimpanzee. There might have been more than one in the room. And 3 different dogs. One was a bulldog, one was a poodle, and one was a bloodhound. And then all of the animals unfreeze. And the bulldog starts eating something out of a glass on the table. And Phoebe yells at him and then asks not to be bothered so that she can finish what she's doing. And then we cut back outside to Prue and Piper, who are shutting the doors on the car, having found nothing. They then remember that they haven't checked the trunk, so Prue uses her power to open it, and we have a little chime when she does it. It's kind of fun. And that's where we see Brooke and Andrea in the trunk. Piper checks for a pulse, and way too quickly says that they have a faint pulse.
Yeah.
Like, she puts her finger down on one of their necks and is like, there's a faint pulse there. Like, oh, all right.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing that there's a faint pulse means that they have to get them to the hospital as fast as possible. So then we cut back to Phoebe, who says her reversal spell, which is, undo the magic acted here, reverse this spell so all is clear. Clean, concise, and quick.
Yes.
So all of the animals in the club turn back into humans, and no one seems to notice that anything is wrong. Janice is still singing, people are still dancing, it's like no time at all has passed. Mm-hmm. A la convenience.
A la convenience.
Yeah. Cut back to outside, and because the
spell wasn't terribly specific.
Yeah, it was undo magic acted here. That means
not turn all the people in this room back into people.
Yeah. That means that Rabbit and Snake turn back into humans as well, breaking out of the little boxes that they were in. Snake grabs Piper, Rabbit jumps on Prue.
And she has a very good line of the episode, which is piss off, Thumper.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was the best line in the episode. I enjoyed it immensely.
Yeah, she waves her hand and he goes flying off into some a la convenience wooden boxes.
Yeah. Snake is trying to bite Piper, who's like, what is happening right now?
And they both realize that Phoebe reversed the spell, so Prue tells Piper to hold on as she uses her power to make Piper and Snake fly through the air and hit the wall.
Yep. Rabbit then jumps on Prue, and she kicks him off, and
Piper grabs a long piece of wood, swings it between Snake's legs, and asks, how's it feel to be a man now?
Yep.
Which I thought was the best line of the episode.
I thought that was the second best. And then she punches him in the face and, like, knocks him out, and she hurts her hand in the process. Mm-hmm. This is the first time that we see Piper punch somebody.
Yeah. It's the first time nice. she reacts with a physical assault instead of just freezing someone. Yeah. So she's moving on to the offensive.
Yeah. And then the rabbit dude gets ready to scratch Prue, and Piper freezes him. And then we get a couple of shots of the actor trying not to move while he's supposed to be frozen. And it's quite funny to see because, like, he's wavering just a little bit.
Yeah.
And, like, in one of the shots, his belt, because he's wearing a belt with this outfit, like, the belt moves. It was just super funny. Piper thinks that they should bring Rabbit over to Snake.
And kind of do a redo of what they did with Hannah and Rex.
Yeah, of like have one try and kill the other. But Prue says she has a better idea. And then as they walk off screen, Prue smacks Piper on the butt.
Yep.
It was so odd. I'm like, what? Like, why? It was just weird. It was very weird. And then
there's a time cut, and we see a policeman putting Snake and Rabbit into a cop car.
Yeah.
Rabbit makes a comment about how they're human for good. This is great. And Snake is pissed.
Yeah, he's pissed off because, they're totally human now.
He would also like to say, piss off Thumper.
Yes. Yes, he would. The cop car drives off, and Prue, Piper, and Phoebe are all standing in the parking lot. And Daryl comes up to them, and we learn that Brooke and Andrea are on their way to the hospital, and they should be fine. And then he starts to ask how they did all of this, and then he just kind of stops himself and is like, I shouldn't ask. I don't want to know.
It's very Daryl.
Yeah. Prue asks if they remember when their biggest concern on Valentine's Day was who to spend it with.
And Piper's like, it still is.
Yeah.
Which just shows where her perspective is.
Yeah, it was cute. And then Phoebe kind of gives her a dirty look and gives her like the typical like talk to the hand gesture of the late 90s. Where she, like, just puts her hand up and, like, talk to the hand, that kind of thing. And then Prue is like, well, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I was dateless tonight. Which then reminds Phoebe that she, wasn't dateless. And they all walk off, leaving Daryl alone in the parking lot. Mm-hmm. Cut to inside a little while later. Janice is singing a slightly slower song, and Phoebe is dancing with Ethan, and Prue and Piper are sitting at the bar, chatting with each other.
Yeah.
Prue has come to the realization that she likes to work because it gives her something else to worry about besides demons and stuff, but she just needs to figure out what she wants to do to keep busy. Mm-hmm. Piper mentions Phoebe getting busy, and we watch Phoebe getting dipped by Ethan as the song ends. It was very funny, though, because there were a couple of people trying to walk past as she was getting dipped, where they kind of, like, stopped because all of a sudden there's a face in their way. Path? Yeah. It was a cute little moment. Mm-hmm. Prue decides that she doesn't want to see any 80s dancing, and she's like, okay, this is my cue to leave.
Yeah.
I'm done now.
Yeah. We cut over to Phoebe and Ethan walking over to the bar, and somehow he's just now noticed that there's a random feather in her hair, and he points it out to her.
Yeah, I'm assuming that it possibly got into her hair when he dipped her. Like, her head got close to the ground.
Could have been.
And picked up a feather. Like, that's the only thing that makes sense as to why he wouldn't have noticed it before now.
Mm. Yeah, she just kind of, flicks it behind her and just says, oh, that's really strange.
Yeah, like, she tries not to explain anything. It was a cute little moment, but then we jump over to Dan and Piper sitting at the bar, and they're having a very heartfelt conversation about their relationship, where she says that her job and family take time and he needs to be willing to deal with that. Mm-hmm. And he says that he can get jealous, and while he wants to work things out with her, that she's not going to change him.
So they decide to continue the conversation over dinner. I guess dinner just means, hey, meal at end of day for them. Because, she works at a club, so...
Yeah. And then they start walking toward the stairs.
Piper stops, realizing she forgot her purse, tells Dan she'll meet him outside, and heads back to the alcove to grab her bag.
Yep. And there's a card sticking out of it. And she opens it, and it's the For You Always card from earlier.
And we get some nice voiceover of the card being read.
Yeah. It's from Leo. And it basically says that she fell in love with Leo when she thought he was just a handyman, and now he's back to being just a handyman. And he fell in love with who she is, not who he thinks she is, and that he's not giving up.
And we get a nice shot of Piper and Leo looking at each other from across the room. Then there's this sequence where Piper starts walking towards him, and you get a shot of her that was shot in slow-mo. Like, they're at two different frame rates, where it looks like Leo's thing, where he, puts the rag back on the table and starts walking towards her, was shot at regular speed and then slowed down, so it looks a bit more choppy. But hers was shot in slow-mo, so it's, smoother.
Yeah. Well, but that makes sense.
And it kind of bothers me.
But it makes sense, because they start walking towards each other, they meet up, they start kissing, and then we see her standing in the alcove, because it was just a daydream.
So how does that make sense with the differing frame rates?
Because she's in the dream, so hers is more smooth. because it's her daydream.
Smell that? Smell that? It smells like poop because you pulled that out of your ass.
Hey, you know...
There's no reason for there to be differing frame rates other than that someone realized, hey, this would be this really cool sequence if we had this be in slow-mo, and I guess they just decided not to shoot Leo's bit in slow-mo.
Or they forgot, or they didn't have time, or they decided
it was
after
just
the
weird,
fact.
and it kind of bothered me because you're switching between frame rates. Like, you know, when we were watching Leverage, like, the fight scenes always go into high frame rates, which makes sense because it's, like, heavy action.
Yeah.
And you can always see that, but it's always consistent.
Well,
about,
yes,
like,
because
once
Leverage
it gets
is the best
into
show ever.
once it gets into Elliot fighting, then it goes into high frame rate, and then it slows back down once he's done.
Yeah.
But, like, this is just there's supposed to be the slow-mo thing, and they were just inconsistent about, like, the shots. And it just kind of bothers me.
Who knows what the
Yeah,
real
but
reason
anyway-
is, but whatever.
Anyway,
Yeah.
they kiss, and it's a daydream.
Yeah. She looks over to Leo, they smile at each other, and then she walks outside, and we go to the end credits. Now, according to Soundhound, the song...
Hashtag not sponsored.
Yes, the song on the DVD for this scene is I Promise You by Judith Owen. Though I'm not sure how, because the CD it says it's on didn't actually come out till 2008. I'm assuming it was actually on her 1996 album or her 2000 album, but the wiki has no useful info. I did learn that she's Welsh and that she's been married to actor Harry Shearer since 1993. And in case you don't know who he is, he voices a lot of people on The Simpsons, including Ned Flanders and Mr. Burns. So there's that. The song on Netflix is Break Free by Matthew Santos. It is a very different feel from the other song, but the lyrics work for the scene. But it was just interesting to see the difference in songs that they picked. I'll put links to the YouTube videos for both songs on the website so that you can check out the difference between them and understand why they work, but why it was a completely different feel.
Yeah.
But that's it. We're at the end of the episode.
We're at the end.
Yeah.
My
Which means,
friend.
indeed, which means we are up to our ratings portion of the evening. Would you like to go first? Would you like me to go first?
I'll go first.
All right.
I'm gonna give this 7 out of 10 disgustingly cheesy Valentine's Day cards.
All right. I like it.
Yes, and you are giving it?
A 6 out of 10 novelty slippers.
Yeah.
Because I really love those slippers. Like, it's out of everything that I have issues with this episode, that's the one thing I keep coming back to.
We'll need to get me some more novelty slippers while we're out.
Yes. Anyway, so with our ratings out of the way, we are on to outfits. Do you have a favorite outfit or outfits?
Piper's dress at the end.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. For Prue, I just really like the seal slippers.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, I have to go with that outfit just for the slippers. Because novelty seal slippers. How can you not love that? For
If you're
Piper...
heartless?
Well, there is that. There are some heartless people out there. For Piper, I don't like pink, but the pink dress that she wears at the end was really cute on her. Mm-hmm. And out of all of the outfits that she wore today, it was the cutest.
Yeah.
And then for Phoebe, I actually really liked the very first outfit she was in. The black shirt with the slits on the sleeves. Mm-hmm. Because I would totally have worn that top. I would wear that top today. Such a cute top. So, with our ratings done and our outfits done, that means we are on to social media time. So, do we have anything to mention before we do that? Oh, yes, we do.
Take it away.
As we end with the air conditioning coming back on. Due to reasons, we are back down under our $65 Patreon goal. Didn't last very long, but you know, it's a thing that happens sometimes. People change minds and stuff, and so we are back down to 6 patrons. So if you know anyone who's got some, extra cash lying around, they want to help out 2 awesome girls, working on a little podcasty thing, just send them over to patreon.com/charmchats. Yeah. So as per always, you can get us on charmchats.com. You can email us at charmchats@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at charmchatspod. You can find us on Tumblr at charmchatspod. Mm-hmm. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram under charmchats. We're still technically on Snapchat.
Yeah.
Though we haven't really been keeping up with that because life and stuff.
Yeah.
And if you could give us a rating and a review on iTunes,
that would be great.
That would be awesome, because that gets more people knowing about us. And I know that we have more listeners than we've ever had before. And I'm
thrilled,
and my mind keeps getting blown every time we get a new listener. And I appreciate every single one of you. And yeah.
And, okay, so we didn't talk about this in time for the Indiegogo, but there's something going on called PodCon, which is happening December 9th and 10th over in Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
It's being run by John and Hank Green, Travis McElroy. I don't think it's all the McElroy brothers. And the guys from Welcome to Night Vale.
Mm-hmm. Because, Hank Green didn't need more
stuff to do.
Yeah,
so he decided to have more stuff to do.
Hank Green didn't need free time. He just has a newborn child.
Same with Travis.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about either Joseph or Jeffrey, but, they decided they were up for this. It's basically just a convention by and for podcasters, and neither Kat nor I will be able to go, but there is actually an option for remote attendance.
Yeah.
And while the Indiegogo was going on, everything was going to be a bit cheaper. But even though the Indiegogo is over now, the thing is still happening. The Indiegogo was mostly just a thing to gauge, like, how many guests they could invite. There was a thing where you could, have a scholarship for, like, a local Seattle person to attend. And there was swag and stuff. And it looks like it's going to be a really interesting thing. And the site is podcon.com. And it's going to be at the Washington State Convention Center over in Seattle, December 9th and 10th, 2017.
Yep.
So go to the website, check it out, see what's the what, because it sounds like a really interesting thing. And if we could go, we'd be there.
Indeed.
To, like, chat with people about podcasts and shit.
Yeah. It would be awesome. I know that there's going to be a lot of different podcasts doing stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Francesca Ramsey's going to be there. Kevin Porter from Gilmore Guys.
Aaron Mahnke from Lore, which just makes me smile.
Yeah, all of the
much.
McElroys, not just the brothers, but also Sydney, because I guess they're doing Sawbones. But Dylan Marin's going to be there. Like, tons of people.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
And they have a form you can fill out for if you want to suggest more guests or whatnot.
Yeah. So if you want to actually get a ticket to PodCon, now mind you, hashtag not sponsored. Like, we are not sponsored by them at all.
I wish, but
that would be amazing, but no. This is just something that we think that as podcast listeners, you would probably enjoy.
If you like podcasts.
Yeah.
If you have a podcast or 3.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you can actually go there, a ticket's like $100. But if you want to do remote attendance, it's only $30.
Yeah. And that's
awesome.
where just like a few weeks after the event, you'll get an email with
audio recordings.
Yeah, download links for audio recordings for all the panels, the performances, and all of the live recordings.
Yeah. But there are a few things that they won't be able to distribute because of licensing agreements and stuff like that. But everything that they can give away, they will. And that's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
So, check it out. It's a thing.
So we're going to put a link to that in the episode page. So you can go check it out.
Yeah, because, it's super simple, super awesome, and
hopefully if it's successful enough this year, they'll do it next year.
Yeah. And maybe it won't be in Seattle next time. Who knows?
Well, the good thing is that now I know how to figure out the public transit system of Seattle. It's actually super fucking easy.
Unless it's fucking winter.
Even then.
Well, because let me tell you, I've been in Seattle in the winter, and the buses are bullshit. Just saying.
Okay.
Because Seattle has sloped streets.
True.
Buses don't work so well on icy streets trying to go uphill.
No. What was that one video where all the cars are just kind of sliding down the street, including a cop car? Was that in Seattle?
I don't know.
I feel like that might have been in Canada.
Yeah, I think that might have been Canada as well, but it was still
my girlfriend.
I totally have a girlfriend.
Her name is Alberta. She lives in Vancouver.
Yes.
Cooks like my mother and sucks like a Hoover.
Anyway.
Avenue Q, baby. Hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that'll about wrap it up.
Yes. On that lovely note.
F sharp.
Sure. I think we're done for another episode. So, until next time.
Sleep tight. Don't let the warlocks bite.
Bye!
Phoebe, Piper, and Prue, they've got evil to slay and some potions to brew. So we'll see where it's at. It's Week with Kendra and Kat on Charm.